Hey everybody, it's Friday, it's the lock-in. I'm Barry Chandler. Welcome to a very special lock-in. Tonight we launch officially the Stories and Sips Whiskey Club, and I'm delighted to do it. So we'll be drinking some good whiskey tonight, sipping on something good. I hope you've got something good in your glass. I'm going to start off with a drop of Jameson Vintage Select Vintage, Rarest Vintage Reserve in my glass tonight as we get into a good session tonight. Music, crack, special guests, big reveals, launch of a whiskey club. I'd love to know where you are in the world, where you're tuning in from, and what you're drinking. So David Stewart is joining us from Los Angeles. Hey, David. Familiar face there. Welcome back. Paul Andrew Thornton, good man, joining with 4 glasses of whiskey in his emojis. That's telling us a lot. Chris Connor says, here we go. We go indeed. We're off. Off. Cahor doesn't like the jacket. He's just jealous. Cahor, you can. We're going to put this. We're going to auction this up for charity, and I expect the highest bid to come from you. Up tip, says Diarmid. Up tip indeed, and up Cork. Coming to you live from Cork tonight for the kickoff of our whiskey club, Stories and Sips Whiskey Club. We have all over the house all over the world in the house tonight. We've got Killarney, Ronan Mitchell joining us from Killarney. Zane Klaus watching from work. LD says that was one hell of a sterling pour. I think it was, wasn't it? Sure, it's going to be a long night. There's no point in putting the bottle back on the shelf. Marshall Pons is joining us in South Carolina with a glass of green spot and a cigar. Good man, Marshall. Tyler Cole, good friend of ours in Newark, Ohio. Good man. Good to see you. There's a good old crowd turning up with their glasses full. Karen Lloyd Peace joining us from Swords in Dublin. Chris Connor, Kilbeggan single pot still in the Tua. Fantastic drop that. And Scott going all big with his Middleton Very Rare 2021. Listen, it doesn't get any better in the bottle. You might as well crack it open. Steve joining us from Colorado Springs, our trusty admin of our Facebook community. Hi, Steve. Starting with two stack smoke and mirrors. Go wondering, is this a Sonny Malloy's Redbreast glass? It is. I have 2 of them here from my package of Sonny Malloy's. This is the remnants of a whiskey the other night that I magically haven't thrown away, could you believe? That has all but evaporated. And here's my pour for tonight. Yeah, Galway crystal glasses. Nicholas is joining us from Massachusetts. He just signed up for the club. Good man. First one to mention it. Good man, Nicholas. Let me see. Who else? David says now officially Whiskey Dave in the Whiskey Club. Aha, there's a good username. Fantastic. If you have joined our whiskey club already, thank you so much for joining. We're going to have some fun building this club. I'm telling you, we've got lots of exciting things to share tonight. Let me put the link up on the screen. Go to storiesandsips.com/club or just go to storiesandsips.com. You'll find all the links. Really excited for what we're kicking off here. United States is really difficult to do anything alcohol related. We've figured out some ways to do this legally and hopefully efficiently, and we're going to try and roll this out. But we'll talk about all the challenges ahead of us and all the fun times ahead of us as we go through the various elements and pieces of the show tonight. We have Paddy Homan joining us, musician extraordinaire from Cork who lives in Chicago. Paddy is the man who really kicked off the musical segments on the lock-in way back. We're going back now probably a year and a half when we had our first ever musical session when Kilbeggan took over the lock-in. If you remember that, a long time ago, and Paddy had the bower on and he was singing, and it was just so much fun. At the time, we broke the record, I think, for the longest lock-in, which I think was about 3 hours at the time. We've since put that to shame, but I want to invite Paddy back to join us because he was the man who really kicked off the musical side of things. So he's back tonight. He'll be joining us in about 15 or 20 minutes. He'll be with us for the show, giving us some great tunes. We'll have a bit of crack with Paddy. We'll also be joined by a few other guests throughout the evening, and I'll be sharing with you over the course of the night the 5 elements of the Stories and Sips Whiskey Club. I'll be revealing our exclusive first club bottling, our first club cask that we're going to lay down together as a club. I'll be sharing with you our first quarterly tasting that we'll be doing. I'll share with you our first Meet the Maker event that we'll be hosting later this month. And I'll share with you the Still House, which is our kind of educational and entertainment area on our website, kind of a members only area that'll be filled over time with videos, with content, with features, with how-tos, with history. It'll just grow and grow and grow. So we'll talk about all those things tonight, all those elements. If you have joined up for the club, I'll give you a shout out in the comments, stick your name in there in the comments, and we'll stick your name in there and tell us that you signed up, and we'll give you a good shout out. Tony Nicoletti is a member. Good man, Tony. Thanks a million. Tony, you've been here a long time, and I really appreciate the support. So thanks a million. Amy O'Byrne, thanks for letting us in. So excited to be in your new club. Amy has a fantastic Irish pub in her home that would put any Irish pub you've ever been to shame. So I'm delighted that we get to have you in our club. Amy, thanks a million. Bruce says, thanks for letting us sign up early. I did post about 5 minutes before we went live. I posted links in our Irish Whiskey Fans of America group and on Stories and Sips. So if you were early enough to get in there, well done. Cahur is drinking Belfast Whiskey Week 2021 Whistler. That's a nice, unusual drop. Good man. Chris Connor already joined the club. Good man, Chris. Great supporter of Stories and Sips. Dan says, no way to be sure, but I think I'm all in. Hopefully you got some email receipts. If you didn't, Dan, we'll get you sorted after the show tonight. Or, well, it won't be after the show tonight. I'll be crawling along the floor, I'd say, but maybe it'll be tomorrow. Zane Klaus signed up. Good man, Zane. Great supporter of the whiskey world, of the Irish whiskey world. Kevin signed up at 6:30. He was refreshing the page while I was testing it, and he managed to sneak in. Sneaky. Oh, good man, Jeff. Jeff is also pouring some Vintage Reserve. Listen, I haven't even sipped it yet. So Sláinte to all of you. This is a big moment for us because we're building a community that's really becoming a bit of a movement across the US. It's bringing so many people together, and none of this could happen without any of you. I only press go live and I open a few bottles at night. The rest of you come together. You spend your time reaching out, building connections, building the community, and what a community you all have built here. So I'm the one that's really lucky to be part of this. So thank you for turning up, for showing up, for participating, and now for joining into what's going to be a whole new kind of chapter for Stories and Sips. So Sláinte, let me take a good gulp of this. Mrs. Stories and Sips smiling there in the corner. Great support for us. All right. Brian Riley said he is member number 68. Well, how about that? I don't have access to the numbers right here, but if that is the case, we are off to a great start. A great start. Could be, yeah. The Brannigan clan is in. Fantastic. James and Caroline, great supporters of ours in Ohio. Great Irish whiskey fans. And great crack too. You can always rely on Caroline for a good pun. Fionnán O'Connor, whiskey historian, lurking in the comments. He's ignoring a chapter deadline and toasting our new project with a 1960s Powers pot still. Pure pot still. Good man. Mahoo, Fionnán. Don't mind mahooing me. That's amazing. Savage contribution there. A 1960s Powers pure pot still. Good man. We're not matching that tonight on this side of the screen. Kat Redden joined and is celebrating with some Redbreast 12-year-old. Well, fair play to you, Kat. No better woman. Get it into you. Jacob just signed up just before we went live. Amazing. This is unreal. All right. So Todd just joined the club. So excited, having a pour of Blue Spot. There's going to come a point tonight when there's so many comments from people who've joined that I'm just going to freak out because I'm not going to know how to fulfill all the whiskey. We're going to work it out. It's going to be exciting. We have some kind of stretch goals in our mind of, anyway, we'll talk about this. We're going to do this together. It's going to be a lot of fun. Jason says, to celebrate this momentous occasion, he's poured a drop of the story. Good man, Jason. Jason, look at Jason's profile picture there. Look on the screen, standing in front of JJ Curry in Cork. Jason was the first of our purchasers of the story who went to Cork in County Clare and redeemed his ticket that came with the story for a tour of the farm with Louise and Eric and I think Blaze, and everyone was down the farm, and he had a great old time, and it just made me smile and kind of made me all warm to know that like the story continues to kind of spread a bit of love and a bit of joy, and people are still enjoying the experience that goes with it. And it's kind of a good segue into what this whiskey club is all about. So this whiskey club that we have launched and I'll keep saying we because I haven't launched it. We've launched it. There's an unbelievable committee that has been working hard in the background as well that we're going to name throughout the evening and give amazing thanks to. I'll start by just saying thank you to the entire committee who's been working with me to help bring this to life. But I'm going to say we all the time because it is us as a community. And the goal of the Stories and Sips Whiskey Club is not just to sell whiskey. It's not just to have people sitting at home alone drinking a whiskey bottle that they bought at a flash sale online, and that was the last we ever heard of it. There are some fantastic communities out there that build community around whiskey, and I'm inspired by them. And they bring people together, and they use whiskey as a catalyst for togetherness, for community. And I know we've all been missing a lot of that over the past 2 years. It's what brought so many of us together over the past 2 years on the lock-in. And hundreds, sometimes thousands of people would turn up on a weekly basis, not because of the fact that it was a Stories and Sips lock-in, but the fact that people were missing each other and missing connection. So the Whiskey Club takes that to the next level. You've all been asking me over the past few months for when's the story number 2 coming out? Can we do a cask together? Lots of things that are just not possible when we have when we don't have a structure in place and we don't have kind of a formal ability to put a bit of color to these things. So the Whiskey Club is that. It's the ability for us to take our community to the next level. It's not for everyone. We're not expecting everyone to join it, nor do you have to. The lock-in's not going away. The Stories or the Irish Whiskey Fans of America Facebook community is not going away either. They'll all still be there. They'll remain. They're not going anywhere. The club is a way for people to go deeper into the world of Irish whiskey, to meet more people, to meet the people behind whiskey, to engage in activities that maybe they couldn't otherwise have access to in different parts of the United States. So it's kind of trying to make the United States a little bit smaller using whiskey to bring us together. We'll do it virtually for the moment. We'll do things in person when we can as well. But we'll start tonight. We'll kick it off tonight. And by you signing up tonight, you've all said, I want in, I want to be part of it. So you are, and we're going to build a great community. And I'm really, really thrilled and delighted that you're all here with me. So there's a lot to get through tonight. I hope you've cleared your schedule. I hope you've told your significant other you're not going to see them for 48 hours. Over the next 8, 9, maybe 10 hours, we're going to get through a lot of aspects of the club. I'm going to take all your questions. I'm going to fill you in on all the details. I'm going to introduce you to some people. I'm going to give the big reveals of the 4 or 5 things I want to reveal tonight. And then I'm going to sit back and I'm going to sip some whiskey. I'm going to chat with you and talk and and look at your questions. And if you've joined tonight, if you've joined the club, let us know in the comments. I'd love to know. It does sound like there are lots of you that have joined, which is fantastic. Kelly is in there. Fantastic. Well done. Everyone's trying to figure out how many people have joined already. They're looking at their invoices. It says, check your invoice number on your payment confirmation. You're assuming that it started at 0. I think it started at about 18 or 19, maybe. But in any case, what have we got there? No, that can't be true. Mrs. Stories and Sips is flashing numbers there. That can't be the case. If it is, the distilleries are going to be having to work overtime in Ireland. I don't know how that's going. What? Okay, well, we'll have to get 4 casks, 5 casks. So the lads who are waiting in the background, who I can see, I haven't introduced you yet. I haven't told anyone who you are. You better start. Might be time to start distilling an overdrive there. All right. Let me see. Dave says number 146 was the highest invoice posted from Dave. Okay. Well, look. It's not about the numbers. Yes, it's all about the numbers at the end of the day because we have to fulfill these numbers and figure out a way to make everyone happy and part of the community. But look, let's, where do we start? Where do we start? Okay, Bob is in. Andrew Donlan, thank you very much. Andrew started his own whiskey society in Limerick, the Treaty Whiskey Society. If you're in Limerick, go check it out. He's online, the Treaty Whiskey Society. Let me see. All right. Stacey said she just threw a hot pocket at her husband and wished him good night. She won't see him for the rest of the night. Poor Devon. David Stewart says he signed up as member 148. Well, if you're up to number 148, we've got lots of work to do ahead of us, but we'll have an unbelievable club. Mark Ashley says he's 168. Okay. I'm not going to keep focusing on the numbers because it's not a metric of our success, but I want, it is purely a metric of how hard I'm going to have to work starting tomorrow to fulfill all of this. Okay, so I'm putting the link up here. I'll talk about it a few times during the night. The link is there. What I want to do before we have our first reveal, so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on each of the reveals because I've got to get through 3 or 4 of the reveals, then I'll come back to them again at the end. And we've got people joining us from Ireland who have to go to bed because it is getting late in Ireland. But what we will do is, let me see. I see Paddy, our musician, is going to join us. I see he's dipping in and out of the backstage area. Once he comes back, we'll start with an old tune and we'll bring Paddy in and we'll get going. Pour yourself something good. Make sure you've got something decent in your glass. I think we're going to be in for a session tonight. We're going to be here for a while. I'm on Jameson Rare's Vintage Reserve. I've also got some other interesting whiskies on hand. Redbreast PX. I've got some other nice drops that I'll be pouring. I see Paddy is connecting there in the background. All right, let me see. While we are waiting for Paddy to connect, I do want to give a shout out to our Stories and Sips Whiskey Club committee, who have been unbelievably helpful to me, testing links, giving feedback, helping. One of our committee members is our club lawyer, who's been helping figure out all of the legal pieces of all of this to make sure we're all our I's are dotted and our T's are crossed. So in no particular order, our committee, many of whom you're familiar with in our Facebook community, who've been helping get this to market tonight: Dave Bojorquez in California, Steve Smathers, Brian Redden, Stacey Stearns, Kieran Quinn, MP Moho, Shane Moore, Diarmid O'Malley and Rick Green. Take a bow, one and all, because you've been unbelievably helpful to me. And there's been moments where we've been kind of trying to bring this to market and I've been questioning kind of the sanity of some of these pieces and whether we can do this and that. And the committee's been unbelievably helpful. So kudos to all of you, and thank you for your counsel and your support and your friendship over the past few weeks, months even. Months and months and months. Nobody knew there was a committee formed, but we kind of did it in the background and just silently went about a bunch of things and got this done. So thank you to all. Yes, Jason says thanks all, guys and gal. Yes, guys and gal. Damien wants to know if the Redbreast PX is now in the States. It is almost in the States. November is the hope. It is. There's delays, packaging delays, shipping delays. The hope was that it would be in the market by now, but November now, it's looking like November. And limited supply, folks, very limited supply. There's Dave. Much love and thanks to the group. Dave, an unbelievable support, an absolute gentleman that been lucky enough to become friends with Dave and Evelyn. Melinda and myself become friends with Dave and his wife and had some great times having dinner and drinks with them. And Dave is just a Trojan worker, unbelievable, and support, and a great friend and a great support. Tony says, thank you all for putting all this together, even if I don't know what it all is. All right. So, well, Tony, you gave us your money. You don't know what it is. Don't worry. We got you. We got you covered. Tyler and his son are now members. Fantastic. Amazing. Thank you for joining. Right. While we wait for Paddy to join, do you know what? I think we might as well start with our first reveal. We might as well talk about our exclusive bottling that we're doing. So there are 5 elements to the Whiskey Club. There is, like I mentioned earlier, we're going to do exclusive whiskey releases 2, maybe more times a year, depending on how many members we have and how often we can get it done. We will bring as many whiskeys to market as we need and as we can get hold of that are good, that are great, that are worthy of our club. That's our first element of our club. The second element is our group cask programs, which we will bring to market maybe twice a year, where we will lay down casks that are from distilleries that we find interesting, and we will distribute the cost of that cask amongst the club. So you can participate by buying a share in that cask. You might be able to buy one of 200 shares. It might be one of 300 shares, depends on the size of the cask. And each share is redeemable for a bottle at the end of the maturation. It's a really simple formula, really simple model. I'll talk more about that in a second. The third element of our club is our quarterly tasting events. We are going to bring you sample packs to your door in states that allow us to ship them to you. 3 50ml samples of whiskey every 3 months. And we're going to host a tasting event that the distillers and the blenders and the makers of these whiskeys will lead, so that you get to ask them questions about their very own whiskeys. The fourth element is our Meet the Maker private fireside chat, fireside event that we're going to host once a month. We'll bring a maker, an interesting maker in the world of whiskey, to you so that you can have a private chat. You can open up your video, open up your microphone, ask questions, get to know them, and get closer than you can on a lock-in or on a bigger public tasting. It'll be a private event for members only. And then the fifth element of our club is going to be an online portal filled with content that's going to grow over time, videos, features, articles. We have writers and experts in the world of whiskey hired who are writing for us. We are going to have video production help to put videos together, and we'll bring all this together. This doesn't all happen overnight. I'll talk to you in a minute about the kind of calendar of how it rolls out, but it starts today. Kevin wants to know if you can buy every cask offering. You certainly can. It'll be offered up once. We'll offer a round of it to the club, and if there's more shares left, we'll offer a second round, which means you could buy second, third, fourth, fifth share until all the shares are gone. And if we don't sell out a cask, we'll just keep them for sale in our club, and maybe a new member wants to buy them. So we won't sell out everything, and others will sell out of everything. So it'll be a kind of a learning experience for us. Paul Andrew wants to know, when do you get to meet me? Anytime you want. Come on over to Cork. I'm here at the moment. Fly over. Brian says I deliver personally all samples. Okay, so it's time to talk to our friends who are behind our exclusive first bottling. So let me see what I've got here. I've got something to put on the screen. But as I am thinking about what I have to put on the screen, where is it? Oh, yes. I'm going to pour myself a different whiskey because it's an important whiskey. And it is a whiskey here from a company you might be familiar with by the name of Two Stacks, 12-year-old single cask, single grain. And I'm going to pour it into my Two Stacks glass. And I'm going to do that for a very good reason, because our friends from Two Stacks are going to join us right now for a chat. Liam Brogan and Donal. How are you getting on, lads?
How's it going, Barry?
How you doing?
First time.
First
time pouring it. I like it.
First time. Oh, look at this. Look at this.
Oh, that's a good looking glass, isn't it?
Unreal, isn't it? It's a great glass. Lovely glass. Little sherry copita. By the way, we're shipping these copitas out, the Stories and Sips whiskey copitas, to the first 200 members. So if you're in, fair play to you. Lovely little glass you got here, lads.
Yeah,
they're lovely. Congratulations, Barry, on launching your new club.
Oh, yeah. Must toast
Cheers,
that.
lads. Appreciate it.
Hardest working man in the Irish whiskey space.
Listen, I have a great thirst on me, and it has to be fulfilled. We've brought you guys here tonight for a very special reason. We've got to know you on Stories and Sips over the past couple of years. Liam, we had a great podcast together where we started to follow your journey. We've had you then and the lads more frequently on the lock-in. We helped launch Two Stacks in the United States, and so many of our community got to know you guys. Dram in a Can, big success in the United States. So when we started our club here, I reached out to you guys and said, we got to do something together. We have to somehow bring Two Stacks into the fold of the new whiskey club. And sure enough, you said, of course, what can we do? And here you are.
Oh, you can't say no to you, Barry.
Listen, you can though. You can. Many people do. So look, here's what we're going. Why don't I put this up on the screen? So look, our first club bottling. If you hadn't already guessed, here I'm going to take this comment off the screen so we got a bit of space. Our first club bottling comes from our friends at Two Stacks Irish Whiskey, and I'm really excited about it. And I wonder if Liam and Donal, if you'd like to explain what this first club bottling is, and we'll take questions about it, but no better men to talk about it than the men behind it.
Yeah, Liam, I'll let you jump in there for a wee while.
No worries. Yeah, no, Barry. We're very excited, delighted that you give us a shout there to source some nice, tasty liquid to launch the inaugural release of your club bottling. So, we kind of put our heads together, myself, Donal, and Shane, and thought, what's happening in the whiskey space at the minute? What's kind of cool, and what kind of stuff are we enjoying? So, I guess back when we launched, last year, the Cask Crusade was going strong, and we had the Blenders Cut come out. We were delighted to bring that, but kind of, I guess, over the last few months, there's been a sort of a movement towards another style of Irish whiskey that we're really enjoying as well, and that is single grain Irish whiskey. So one of the first things that popped into our minds when we're talking about a bottling was showcasing how delicious that Irish grain whiskey is. So
And
yeah,
underappreciated.
yeah, slightly underappreciated, and I guess as we were enjoying here now, and the bottle that you've picked to enjoy is the Two Stacks Time Well Spent. We had a single malt, but also a single grain, and that lovely liquid really surprised us. The 12-year-old Cooley grain whiskey. It's really, when it gets to that age of 10 plus years into the 12th year, it's really shining and it's really doing some good stuff.
What did you think of the 12-year-old, Barry? One you're thinking.
I really enjoy. Lovely spice to it. Lovely, like to me, like obviously the rye casks lending a lovely spiciness and a lovely note. I love a rye note on the whiskey, and I just single grain, like you mentioned, it's coming into its own. It's having a moment in the world of Irish whiskey, and it's been overlooked historically because we're focused on barley all the time, and we might overlook the whiskey style that is made more than any other style in Ireland. We just don't talk about it. There's more grain whiskey made in Ireland than any other style, but it has not historically been as fashionable, maybe perhaps until now. And people like yourselves are doing interesting things with grain, and people are realizing, well, grain is not just an industrial spirit. It's an unbelievably versatile liquid that you can do amazing things with during maturation. So I think the 12-year-old is a lovely drop of whiskey. Lovely drop.
Yeah. No, that's it. And then I suppose, Donald, you could explain about the cask that we've paired, how that story came together.
Yeah, absolutely. We work with a number of cask suppliers, obviously. It's always good to have a different contacts within the industry, because sometimes you've reached out to kind of new and unknown providers that kind of might find a cask that haven't been found or sourced in the market before. And a gentleman by the name of Craig Benton, he works for Heritage Casks. He sells now. He's based in Dublin himself, but he's doing quite well now in regards to getting casks into a lot of the suppliers and distilleries in Ireland. But I think it was back in midsummer we saw a variety of casks that we wanted to do our next batch of blends and finishes in, and one that caught our eye was a Madeira style cask, French oak, 220 litre from. It was a ex-French white wine, but it was used in California to make a California style Madeira wine. And this kind of it didn't jump out as per se, but it was certainly something that caught our interest. Because I personally thought, like, Madeira, I didn't think you could call a wine outside of Madeira. So there I was wrong. So then that kind of fascinated me more in regards to what we were dealing with this cask. And so everyone kind of tells me California wine, I wouldn't know a huge amount behind it, but it has a massive reputation now in the world stage of wine making. And so I thought it was an interesting kind of take to see what we would be playing with if we could take over this type of cask, and what we decide to finish in it. And with good access to now a nice 12-year-old grain from our friends at G&D, I thought it was a good match made in heaven. So it's been laid down August. When was it laid down in? August, mid-August, wasn't it? I think. We had it filled with a 12-year-old single grain. Probably very similar to the same liquid you have in your glass, Barry. But this has now been resting in the Madeira cask for over 2 months. So it'll be interesting to taste it now when we get you up, Barry, to dip the wick in and see how it's going.
We'll dip something into it anyway, maybe a glass, but here's the details of it on the screen. We've talked a lot about it. What's really interesting to me is there's such a story to this whiskey. This is a double distilled single grain, so it's not your average, it's not your standard barley based whiskey. What we have here is a grain whiskey. It's a maize whiskey, double distilled, as Liam was saying, the Cooley distillery, which was a kind of distillery that broke the monopoly in Ireland of Irish distillers back in the late 1980s. It's been maturing for now 13 years. most of that time in ex-bourbon casks, and now transferred to a French oak cask that previously contained a Sauvignon Blanc, then contained a California-style Madeira, and now contains our single grain. The cask went from Cooley Distillery to the Great Northern Distillery, and now it has been moved up to Killowen Distillery, where it's maturing further. So I'm really excited about the combination of the light fruit notes of a grain whiskey, the lovely fortified wine contribution, hopefully, of the Madeira, which we'll all get to taste when we go up in a few weeks. But this is I'm really excited. This is our first club bottling. We're going to release it. Well, we might as well talk about the journey of it. We don't yet know a lot about it, do we, in terms of how it tastes, when it's going to be ready. We think it could be ready to start disgorging in December and November. We don't know. We got to go taste it, right? Like we're going to all go up and taste it, and we'll film that. We'll cover that. We'll get footage of the videoing of the tasting, and then when it's right for the club, it'll get bottled. Could be this side of Christmas. Could be just afterwards.
Yeah, that's it. I think that's what it is. It's all about tasting the cask, drawing samples from it at various stages, and we're at the 2-month mark now, but we would probably estimate that at 3 months it's going to be getting towards a period of where the finishing is doing its job. In the winter months in Ireland, the temperatures are starting to sort of drop now, especially the nighttime. You're getting a nice chill in the evening.
Not good for quick maturation or finishing.
No. It's still quite mild during the day, and that temperature drop between day and night, it does do well, but it's that nice slow sleepy sort of maturation that it's not rushed, and it'll be ready when it's ready. So ourselves and yourself, Barry, we're gonna get a good look at the cask over the next few weeks, and start sort of estimating when it's going to be ready, and then we'll continue that tasting process through November, December, and when it's ready, we'll get ready to start bottling it.
It would be interesting to hear from, like, I suppose, some of the audience or people who are buying, if they prefer to take on the whiskey, that take on more of a darker, richer aspect of the Madeira, or you want to keep it more of the light side of the grain whiskey. It would be an interesting kind of poll on what people would prefer in regards to their palate, because I suppose every whiskey, so everyone has a different sense of what they're tasting in terms of its sweetness, and
100%.
I think most people prefer a touch of sweetness to their whiskeys, but it's always you can never guess everybody's taste.
I know. Yeah. So please let us know. Like, do you like a more rich, fortified wine forward whiskey, or do you want more focus on the distillate? The 12 years in the ex-bourbon cask won't have given it a massive wood or wine. There's obviously no wine contribution, maybe a little bit of the Sauvignon Blanc, but you'll be more kind of leaning on that the grain, the distillate more. So let us know in the comments. What's really interesting to me about this is we're starting off as we want to go on with the club. We're not going to just buy a bottle off a shelf and then sell it to club members. Instead, we're saying we've identified something, let's follow it, and let's track the journey of it. And then when it's ready, we'll bottle it, and then we'll bring it over. That in itself will be its own journey, what with all the shipping delays around the world and logistics challenges currently. But we'll keep the club kind of following this along, just like they follow the story, tracking the ship across the Atlantic, tracking the wrong ship across the Atlantic, tracking the right ship across the Atlantic, and then eventually getting it. So yeah.
And you have to remember,
this is going to be so
cast strength also. You have to mention that it's going to be, well, that's the plan anyway, unless we deviate and there's a high demand for it and we need to maybe pare it back. But
rich and dark, darker and richer from quite a few folks. There was a question earlier from Zane, which was, is it going to be 700 mils or 750 mils? Don, we talked about that earlier. Do you want to tell the audience what it's going to be?
Yeah, I think with Liam, I think we'd probably agree on the 700 mil. I think now that it's allowed within the US borders, in regards to a volume size, I think 700 mil, and plus with the 700 mil, more people get access to a bottle. So the more the merrier anyway. Because hopefully there's a scramble and people can be knocking down your doors, Barry, to get a bottle.
Hopefully there is, and it's what, a 225 liter French oak cask. which we think will give us 300 plus or minus cask strength bottles. When we taste it, we'll know what's left and how many potentially are there. And the goal would be, if we can, and we'll try and figure this out, is if we have European members who sign up with us, we will try and leave a couple of dozen of these bottles with Irish malts to be able to ship. If you're a member, you'll be able to buy them through Irish malts and have them shipped to you wherever Irish malts ship. So that's Ireland, possibly the UK, possibly the rest of Europe, certainly. So that's our kind of effort. We'll be making an effort to try and get some for European members, but our focus will be the majority of them will come over to the US, obviously, and find their way around the States. And you guys are coming to the US, right? In the next few weeks as well. You're jumping on a pallet yourselves and coming on a boat.
Yeah, so myself, Shane, Donald, and Brendan from Cologne Distillery, we're teaming up for Whiskey Fest Chicago and Whiskey Fest New York. So Whiskey Fest Chicago is on the 5th of November, and then Whiskey Fest New York is it's the 11th, I think, of November.
It's on the 11th, yeah.
So in between, we're gonna head up Chicago first. Then Brendan and Donald are going to Minneapolis for a few days. Shane and Chris from High Road, our import partner, are going to Boston. I'm heading down to Pinehurst in North Carolina with Eli from High Road. Play a little bit of golf and spread the word of Dram I can among the golf community.
Liam gets the good weather, and we get stuck in Minnesota and Boston. That's
working on the golf course,
working, hitting golf balls.
And then we're all rendezvousing in New York, from the 10th through to the 13th or so. So we're getting a nice 10-day trip over. We've heard today that it's the 8th of November is when the sort of borders are opening and travel will be easier, but we're determined to get over on the 4th and working out how we,
if you've any contacts in immigration, Barry, you'd be much appreciated.
Don't mention my name. Don't mention my name in immigration. You'll never get in. But what you could do, lads, is if you're looking to have any meetups or meet anybody in different areas that you're going, post some details in the group and just put the shout out, and you'll get a group, you'll get a crowd will turn up, especially if you're pouring whiskeys. You'll need security to keep people away from you.
Yeah. No, there's a tasting happening in Minneapolis. MP Moho's giving us did a bit of hosting for us, and we're pouring with our distributor called the Wine Company for Minnesota, and also in Boston. Shane has organized a tasting, and then in Chicago and New York as well. So anybody in those areas wants to come and meet up and have a crack at in New York.
Brilliant,
so
brilliant.
We'll maybe have a live stream.
You'll have to do a few live streams when you're over here. Yeah, you'll have to. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to bring Paddy in to give us a tune now, and I'm going to let you guys go because we're flying through so many aspects this night. But what I want to say is thank you to the two of you and to Shane as well for being so kind of supportive of the kickoff of the club, selecting a cask, showcasing something that you think will represent two stacks. We'll have an unbelievable time following the journey along, tasting it, and I'm really excited to bring this to market. We'll have some special labels and kind of bottle design that we're going to do as well, and we're working on. One thing that I saw in the comments, we'll come back to it, but somebody said, is there going to be a name for this? So that's something maybe to keep in mind, whether we name this. We called our first whiskey The Story. What's our first club whiskey going to be? So something for us to think about. We don't have to solve it tonight. We'll certainly involve the group, our club, in maybe solving this with us. Lads, I'm excited.
Sequels are usually better anyway, so we'll have to get it better. We'll get the better names.
You can't take The Story too.
Well, I'm sure the fans will come up with something interesting as well. It's creative.
They will, of course. Yeah. They will, they will, and they'd love to see you too. So hopefully they'll get to meet you all when you're traveling the US. If not, they'll be seeing a lot of you on camera as well as we kind of film the kind of documenting the process of getting this to market. So lads, Sláinte, I'm going to keep sipping on the single grain 12-year-old. Can't wait for the 13. Sláinte, Liam, and Donald. Thanks a million. 2 stacks. First exclusive bottling in the house.
We'll see you soon.
Cheers, lads.
Cheers, man. Thanks, Paddy.
Thanks a million, lads. All right, we're off to the races, lads. We're off to the races, lads and ladies. I'm going to bring Paddy in 2 minutes. He's been waiting patiently behind the scenes. I'm monitoring the comments there as I'm going through. They're coming through so fast. I probably can't keep up with all of them. But I see the committee is in there answering lots of questions. If you have any difficulties with signing up, keep trying. I see lots of the memberships coming in here. They're kind of scrolling through on my screen. If you have any difficulties, try again. Or ask one of the club members. Dave is in there. Stacey's in the comments as well. You can tag them and they'll probably give you a hand. Storiesandsips.com/club if you want to sign up. If you want to be one of the only people in the world to have a 13-year-old single grain from 2 Stacks whiskey finished in Madeira casks from California, you have to be a member of the club. The club allows us to bring these amazing things to you and allows us to document the process all along the way. So all of you who are in the club are going to get the opportunity to purchase a bottle. So you as club members are the only ones who get the offer to buy a bottle. These bottles will never be sold outside the club. If we don't sell out a release, that bottle will remain for sale within the club for another member to buy it, or for you to buy a second or a third or a fourth bottle, or for new members to get it when they join as well. So these will only be available to club members, nowhere else. As simple as that. All right, so with that, let me bring fellow Cork man and far better musician and singer in to join us, Mr. Paddy Homan, all the way from Chicago. How are you?
Barry, how are you doing?
How are you getting on? Are you well?
Can you hear me okay there?
I can hear you. I can see you. You are suitably Irish attired for the night that's in it.
Well, you know what? I was in work today, and I was just helping out, and I'm in Chicago, of course, and I said I better not avoid the traffic and have my own lock in here in the office. The blinds are pulled, and
Good man.
if any of our residents pass by, they'll see the Irishman with the drop of whiskey and a bit of crack going on there. And sure, it doesn't matter where you are, you're having the lock-in. The lock-in. You can't.
That's it. The lock-in is mobile. You can bring it with you.
But I must say, though, Barry, just going back when we first got connected, and sometime last year when we were in the throes of everything, and we got connected, and it was we were all trying to do everything to keep connected with everyone. And one of the most original, natural Irish thing to do, to reach out to people all over the world over a drop of whiskey, a drop in, and have the crack, sing an old song. And isn't that what the Irish, that's what we're known for, isn't that right? Wherever you are, that sense of hospitality, that sense of welcoming, and fair play to you. So I just so honored to be here, and I just want to wish you and the committee the very, very best.
Paddy, thanks a million. I really appreciate that. And you've been a tremendous help connecting me with musicians over the last year as well. We've had some of your great friends and colleagues that you were kind enough to connect me with to play, and people got connected with them. And I know some friendships have been made that way. But before you joined tonight, I was sharing with the audience that you were the first musician that really got us going as a kind of a music and whiskey thing, not just a whiskey thing. The night we had Kilbeggan on,
that's right.
Mike Legan, yourself, and that was a session. Like I don't think I had. I mean, it was just a joy. It was just suddenly all the pieces came together in my head, and I realized all that was good in life and in Ireland, and despite what was going on in the world, and we broke records with a 3-hour lock-in that night, and life has never been the same since. And
I think we can do better tonight.
Hey, good man yourself.
Anyway, I'm just maybe I'll sing a little song here, and I see some of your whiskey guys there beforehand. There was some of them are coming to Chicago, so hopefully they'll drop up to us at the Galway Arms, and we'll be happy to give them the good Chicago welcome as well, you know. So
Yes.
in the city of Chicago, as the evening shadows fall, there are people dreaming of the hills of Donegal. 1847 was the year it all began. Deadly pains of hunger drove 1,000,000 from the land. They journeyed not for glory, their motive wasn't greed, a voyage of survival across the stormy sea to the city of Chicago. As the evening shadows fall, there are people dreaming of the hills of Donegal. Some of them knew fortune and some of them knew fame. More of them knew hardship and died upon the plain. They spread throughout the nation, they rolled the railroad cars, they brought their songs and music to ease their lonely heart to the city of Chicago and Chicago. As the evening shadows fall, there are people dreaming of the hills of Donegal to the city of Chicago. As the evening shadows fall, there are people dreaming of the hills of Donegal, of the hills of Cork City, and the plains of Tyrone, all the ways up to Kilbeggan, and down to Middleton, in the city of Chicago, on the hills of Donegal.
You.
Oh,
Yes. Good man, Paddy.
the sound is okay there. I'm not too loud. Is it coming in okay? I haven't.
No,
done
it's
it.
perfect. It's perfect.
Okay, good
No,
stuff, yeah.
it's ideal. Can you hear me okay? You can?
Oh, perfect. Yeah, yeah.
Good, good,
Of course,
good.
all
I got
those
a new
Cork
microphone.
very handsome looking, like, particularly when you're in Cork,
Oh, sure,
like, you know.
listen.
It's the Cork era. I
Oh,
was
that's
just
it.
back there myself
Were
2
you?
weeks ago, walking through Patrick Street, and it was fabulous, you know.
No cars. Very few cars in Patrick Street.
No. Went into St. Peter and Paul, lit a few candles there, you know.
Lovely,
Listening to the
lovely.
guys in Mass on a Sunday morning. I went to the Mass in Irish. I love to
Sure.
drop into the Mass there, you know.
Oh, did you? Where
Yeah.
did you go to the Mass in Irish? In Peter and Paul's, is it?
St. Peter and Paul's every Sunday morning, 10 o'clock, you know.
Lovely.
There's
Lovely.
something about your
Very
own, like
nice.
I'm sure, like when you feel the plop of whiskey going down the back of the throat, there's almost the same feeling when you hear or when you say, for me anyway, you know, whether it's the Our Nahar, the Our Father, or the Hail Mary, or Our Nahar,
Mhm.
or Nav. It's got that same kind of feeling. Of course, you have a drop of whiskey that's a little bit different because it's going round through your throat. It'll give you a kind of a hot,
That's it.
lovely burning feeling, but you know, I suppose your identity really, you know. So it was great to be back.
You'd miss it all the same. I know, like we came back here 4 weeks ago. We've been here since, and
Oh,
we've been absolutely loving it. Like just a change of pace, and after the year that's been in it, it feels all the more special, doesn't it, to come back home to
It does
something you're
indeed.
familiar with?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, it's like COVID has just been, you know, a challenge for everyone. And we were lucky this year. We managed to we launched a PBS show that came out in March, and we had been writing it. I created it myself for over a few years, and it was interesting when it got its national launch. Across 270 PBS stations. It was played about 500 times, but people were at home, maybe having a drop of whiskey, and got to see the show. And it was just amazing the story essentially was Ireland's road to independence from 1798 to 1916, using the original speeches and songs from that period, but just to hear that sense of people connecting to their own heritage in a very sort of a unique way, and particularly when you look at how the Irish impacted the Choctaw Indians during that time, and they gave back, many millions of dollars. It just says that so much again about, the spirit of the Irish, so fair play.
The Choctaw Indians, there's a great memorial down there, down in Middleton.
There is,
sculpture of the feathers coming out of the ground, honoring the great relationship between the Choctaw and the Irish nation, which was reciprocated back during the pandemic, wasn't it? The Irish put their hands in their pockets and were able to support the Choctaw during tough times.
Well, they gave during the Irish famine, the Choctaw Indians gave $170 during the Irish famine. And if you could just imagine that, you and I are on social media now. Well, the Choctaw Indians, just take it, they're in the Midwest somewhere, and no social media whatsoever. They found out what was going on in Ireland, particularly around Skibbereen. I mean, the song of Skibbereen, and yet they managed to garner up $170, which is the equivalent of about $5,000 in today's terms, and sent it back to Ireland. Now, other nations got together as well and helped out. There's no doubt about that. But fast forward to COVID, and the Choctaw, in fact, the Navajo Nation in Arizona were one of the worst affected in America. And of course, I was listening to RTE. There was a lady on the Navajo Indian committee who set up a GoFundMe page, and of course, word got out, and it's almost as if there was an outpouring of emotion from everyone here in Irish America, everyone back in Ireland as well, including fair play to some of the lads in U2 who were very generous. And I would always go on, I'd look at the GoFundMe, and it was just an honor myself to be part of it in some very small way. But we were just giving back. We were making that connection. So, us Irish, we'll, how would I put it? We'll never forget, Some people say it's like Irish Alzheimer's. We forget everything but the grudges, But in this case, it was a positive thing.
No, it's a lovely story, and a great example of like that Irish, that Irish memory and that Irish ability to never forget those little things that mean so much to people.
Exactly.
Paddy, I'm going to jump into our next reveal of our program tonight for our club, which is our whiskey cask program that we're going to reveal. So if it's okay with you, I'm going to come back to you in about 10 minutes. And,
I'm going nowhere.
Have a chat.
Going nowhere.
Good man, you're locked into the office. Throw away the key. You don't need it. We'll see you in a minute, Paddy. Good man. All right, so Paddy is going to join us again in a few minutes. I want to move along. I'm looking at your comments. I know there are a few of you who are having trouble either signing in, logging in. Daniel Geyer, I see you mentioning that you were having trouble. I see you registered successfully. If you didn't get your email, we'll figure it out. Some of these emails have gone into junk, to spam, or they have been blocked by some of your systems. I can see for each of you I see Daniel there. It shows me you're registered, your membership is active, your emails were sent. They may have been blocked along the way. We'll figure it all out. Just so you all know, I reckon that everyone who's here tonight is going to be able to get one of the glasses, the Sherry Copitas that we're offering. I've done a quick look. We're at about, I think, 130 members have signed up, which is incredible. We had a goal of 40 tonight. We're at about 130, which is blowing my mind. It's going to take us some time to maybe look through all of your questions, your comments, anyone who's got a concern. Chances are that over the course of tonight, we'll have about 1,000 or 1,200 comments in the Facebook stream. We won't be able to go back through all 1,200. So if you have some issue, go to Stories and Sips website, go to the contact page and fill it out, and I'll get it sorted over the weekend. you don't want to be replying to you at 3 o'clock in the morning Irish time tonight, because there'll be missing letters and sentences will be all jumbled up. What I'll do is over the weekend we'll get you sorted. So everyone who's here today who wants to join the club, I reckon you're all going to be within the 200 members who have got enough glasses for. I've got 200 glasses produced, 200 boxes made. So I reckon you'll all get in under that, unless we have a big rush in the next 2 hours. I think you'll all get in. So just know that you're all in there. I see the committee are working hard in the background. Don't worry. Daniel got his email. Good man. All right, that's great. The system is automated. We troubleshot it over the last couple of days. We were working with the committee were very helpful in troubleshooting it. We've got an amazing system, super scalable in the back end. It can't, touch wood, can't crash. We're working with Stripe. We're working with professional WordPress development. We're working with amazing membership software. There should be no issue. If you paid, we got you. If you didn't pay, we'll figure it out. This is a customer service focused club. We're going to get you sorted. You know where to find me. I'm on 20 different social media channels. We're going to get this sorted for you. I will make all of you completely satisfied. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. All right. Marshall says he requests Finnegan's Wake from Paddy. So Paddy, stick that in the old in the pocket. There's a request for you. We'll come back to Paddy. I'm going to move on to our next segment, which is a really exciting one for me, for so many of you. We're going to reveal our first cask program. Couple of questions there. Where can people sign up? There's the link, storiesandsips.com/club, or just go to the Stories and Sips website, storiesandsips.com. You'll find all the links. Some of you are looking for the login links. There's nothing to find if you log in right now, and I'll explain that to you as we go through the night. Our members area is going to evolve over the next week and two. So tonight, you've got nothing to see in your login area, really. So don't worry about if you can't log in. However, on your welcome email, there is a link to log in. And it's very simple. storiesandsips.com/login will take you to show you the history of your payments. It'll show you where you can cancel your account, where you can pause it, or all kinds of things you can do in there. storiesandsips.com/login. We will put that up in the navigation bar of our website. We had a development issue trying to get it in there before we went live, and we couldn't. So we will put all the membership links in the navigation menu of our website over the next 7 days to make it really easy for you. But please give me all the feedback on that. If you see some issues, some errors, things we could be better at. Also, when you log in for the first time, it takes you to a page where there is a link to your account. You can click on it, and it gives you all the account details in there. So, yes, high demand. And Kevin saying, I have his card, just charge him. Well, Kevin, that's just in time for the $10,000 product we're about to release. Thank you for giving me your card. Some man you are. Without further ado, let me talk about what's coming next, and that is our cask program. We hosted a cask education event about 6 months ago because so many of you were interested in figuring out how to get in on cask programs in Ireland, which are quite complicated, can be quite expensive, and can be quite difficult to understand. After that was over, I got a dozen emails from people asking if I could put together a cask program. At the time, very tough to do, didn't have the bandwidth, didn't have the time, couldn't focus on it. We were doing one lock-in a week, 10 to 12 hours of work every week. It just wasn't possible. Fast forward to today, we spent the last 3 or 4 months working on this club. We're now in a position where we're going to be able to offer up 2, maybe more cask programs a year. If we've got more members, we'll offer more programs. It's that simple. As the membership grows, so too will our offerings. We're never going to get to a stage where we have 1,000 members and we only have 100 bottles of whiskey available or 1 cask a year. It's not going to be the case. I can't promise that everyone's going to be happy every single time. What I will promise is that as we scale our membership, we'll scale our opportunities and our offerings too. You're not going to see anything fairer than what we're going to roll out here. 100% transparent about costs, about pricing, everything we do, and 100% transparent about what we're stuck with, what we're struggling with. We'll just share that with you all the time. So a few, let me see, maybe 2-3 months ago, one of the most memorable lock-ins for me was a lock-in that we actually did from the United States. And it was one of the rare lock-ins because it's not very often that we do something with an American distillery. In fact, only 2 American distilleries really are allowed to be featured in anything we do on our Irish Whiskey Fans of America Facebook group because they are so connected to Ireland. And those are the Talnua Distillery in Colorado and O'Shaughnessy Distilling in Minneapolis. 2 great friends of our show, great friends of Stories and Sips. And I am delighted that we, for our very first cask program, are getting to work with one of these distilleries. So for our very first cask program for the Stories and Sips Whiskey Club, we are, drum roll, I should do some kind of drum roll. We are teaming up, folks, with Brian Nation, former master distiller from Middleton Distillery, the man responsible for Middleton Very Rare, Jameson, etc., Redbreast over the past 10 years or more. Brian Nation is now at O'Shaughnessy Distilling, and Brian insisted on being our first cask. He wanted to be our first cask in our Club Cask program. And so we are going to embark not on just a cask program at Brian and the team at O'Shaughnessy Distilling. We're talking about a journey here. We've spent quite a bit of time talking with the team at O'Shaughnessy, figuring out what this looks like. For those of you who are not familiar with Keeper's Heart Whiskey and O'Shaughnessy Distilling, 2 years ago, Brian Nation shocked the world of whiskey, leaving his job as master distiller at Ireland's most famous and largest distillery, the Middleton Distillery, was headhunted and recruited to join the new O'Shaughnessy Distilling in Minneapolis, in Minnesota, something nobody had ever heard of because it wasn't even built yet. Brian has built, and with the team there, one of the most exciting new distilleries to open in America in a long time. I have never seen a distillery of this size, of this scope, of this scale, of what they're doing there. So Brian and his team are going to work with us to lay down a cask, our very own founder's cask of Keeper's Heart Whiskey. There are only, I think, 100 casks are going to ever be made that are private. We have one of the first casks. And over the course of this maturation, Brian is going to keep us up to date with its maturation. But not only that, Brian's going to invite anyone who wants to go to the distillery to join him at the distillery for the filling of our cask. We will live stream it as well. We will have a virtual event as well as an in-person event for anyone who can make it to the distillery, most likely in January. We are laying down a cask of pot still whiskey that Brian is going to make in America, inspired by Irish pot still that he himself was so involved with and so responsible for so many years at the Middleton Distillery. Brian Nation, a Cork native, so of course it has to be good. A man who grew up about a mile from where I'm sitting right now in Blarney. And Brian is going to work with us to do a number of things. He's going to invite us all to the filling of the cask. Everyone who participates in this cask program is going to get access to the distillery, to a tour as part of your cask purchase. And again, even if you purchase just one bottle, you're going to be extended the same benefits as if you were an entire cask owner. That's what we're bringing out to the table with these cask programs. In addition, Brian wants to work with us over the next few years to use our club as a testing ground for some whiskies that he's going to work on, things that he comes out with, experimental whiskies. He will offer up the chance for maybe we do a lottery system within our club that people can actually get samples from Brian to test and taste and give feedback on whiskies that Brian develops and Brian works on. There's going to be a lot of perks with this. We're going to figure out what those are in more detail over the coming weeks and months. We will open up this first cask program in January. Maybe we offer up sales of it in December, but it'll be December or January when we offer this up. Where the club will purchase the cask, right? So how it works is the club now, funded by you, has the resources to go out and make purchases. So we're going to purchase a cask. We're then going to divide that cask up. So we'll work out with Brian and we'll share all these details with you as part of this journey. How many shares or how many bottles we think will be in that cask at the end of the period, the maturation period, whether that's 4 years, 3 years, 5 years, etc. If we anticipate there's going to be 200 bottles that we can pretty much guarantee, let's say it's 220, well, we'll do 200 shares. 20 will just be extras for breakage, for angel share, etc. We'll divide up the cost of the cask into 200 shares. Any handling costs that go with that, we'll keep that as absolutely minimal as possible. And we'll offer that up to you. So let's say one share costs $50 or $60. In the case of this particular cask program, that's an all-in cost. That is the cost of everything to the point of you holding your bottle in your hand in 3 years, 4 years, or 5 years' time. With other cask programs, there'll be additional costs that we'll share up front with you. But in the case of this one, it'll be 100% upfront cost. Are you excited? Is this exciting to you? I mean, this is amazing. Like Brian Nation, we're going to get one of his first ever American casks, the most awarded master distiller in Ireland, one of the most revered. He's now going to work with us and bring us one of his first casks in America. Why are we working with an American distillery on a whiskey club? Well, you'll note that we're called the Stories and Sips Whiskey Club. The reason we're not called the Stories and Sips Irish Whiskey Club is because I want us to have the ability to extend to Irish adjacent distilleries and brands that are doing things important and relevant to the Irish whiskey category. I could look additionally to Talnua Distillery to see if we can potentially do something with Talnua. Our friends Patrick and Megan Miller in Talnua. We have our eyes on you guys as well. Maybe there's some distribution things. Once you've got those figured out, we can work with you guys as well. We would love to. So the reason we're called the Whiskey Club is so that we can do things with Irish whiskey adjacent brands and distilleries. There won't be many of those. Most of our focus will be on those on the island of Ireland. But those are the two that I can think of here. All right, let me look at your comments to see if you've even got any interest in this, right? Let me see. Drum roll. Yes. Boom. Yes. Oh, people are excited. Sold. Andrew says a fantastic opportunity for your guys in the USA. Get your membership now. Thank you, Andrew. Where do I sign up, says Declan? You sign up by becoming a member of Stories and Sips Whiskey Club. If you're not a member, you can't get access. So it's only members who are going to get access to the club shares, the cask shares. But how exciting that we'll have a Stories and Sips Whiskey Club cask distilled by Brian Nation and laid down exclusively for us that we get to follow its journey. I mean, it's an absolutely incredible opportunity for us. It really is. How we'll work this is that let's say we have one cask in the case here with 200 shares of it, and we have 500 members. Well, we're going to have to figure out if we can get a second cask if there's a demand, but we'll start with the first cask. There will be a round of offerings where we'll offer up one share to every club member. If after 48 hours or 72 hours, again, we'll detail all this so definitively for you that you'll all know what's going on. And we're not doing this till December or January. If after the first round, there are still 50 bottles left, we will offer it back up to the club in the order that people signed up. Then they'll give you the opportunity to buy a second share. If it goes to a third share, a fourth share, we'll keep going round and round until everyone has the opportunity to buy it. After that, if there's still shares left, people who bought one originally can buy again, or we'll put it just for sale in our online club store where somebody can come in and buy a share of Brian Nation's cask. Right? How about that? Okay. It has to be pot still, says Declan. It is pot still whiskey. It is. The cask is, Zane wants to know what's the cask. It's a 200-liter ex-bourbon cask that will be used to age Brian Nation's pot still whiskey that he will make American-style pot still whiskey inspired by Ireland. We'll have far more details with Brian because Brian's going to join us over the next few weeks and months as well to talk about it. So really, really exciting that we're going to do this. People saying Minnesota in January. Are you out of your mind? Yeah, no one's. It'll be a bit colder, right? The members keep coming in. Patrick Miller says he'd be delighted to be part of this journey. Talnua would love to do a casking. Patrick, we will do it. Let's do it. Let's figure it out. Let's get you into the rotation. We love Talnua here. We're big fans of Talnua. You make single pot still whiskey inspired by Redbreast, inspired by Ireland, Irish grain, American grain. We love everything you do, and we've been lucky enough to get to know you and Megan. And yes, we'd love to do something with Talnua, and I think you'll get a lot of support in our group for something from Talnua as well. Chris says it's only fitting to pour some of the story in the glass now. This is a great night. We're only getting started, Chris. We're only 8 hours into our 42-hour session. With that, let's bring Paddy Homan back in. He's baiting away on the old Bowron there. No fear of the man.
I was listening to you there. I was building up a thirst and an appetite.
Jesus, I hope were you counting your coins there for a bit of Brian Nation's cask.
Oh my God, lovely stuff altogether. Yeah. So anyway, somebody mentioned earlier about Finnegan's Wake, wasn't it? Yeah,
that's right.
There's an interesting song because you think about James Joyce and he talks about what better way to describe the joy of birth, death, and resurrection all over taking a drop of whiskey, I suppose. Tim Finnegan goes up in the ladder and he falls off, and to take him back to the good old Irish wake. If there's one thing that the Irish know that to do, they know how to have a good old funeral, and they do it in style, So maybe we'll do a little preamble into Finnegan's Wake, and you can all raise your glass here now for Tim Finnegan.
Tim.
Big Mr. Finnegan of the stuttering hand Free man's more lived in the broadest way imaginable, in his rush lip, too far back for Monsieur Wedges, before Joshuan judges had given us numbers, or Alvilicus had committed Deuteronomy. Now during mighty odd years, this man of hod cement and edifices in Toper's top, piled bildung, supra-bildung, upon the banks of the livers for the so-and-sos. A one worth of a skyscraper, entirely originating from next to nothing. And with the burning bush above its bubble top, and with Lawrence O'Toole's is clattering up, and Thomas O'Bucket's clattering down. And the first was he to bear arms in the name of Zingamon. Oh ho ho, Mr. Fun, you're going to be fined again. Ha ha ha, Mr. Fun, you're going to be Mr. Finnegan. But Dim, didn't he stutter from the ladder? He was dumb. Tim Finnegan lived in Walking Street, a gentle Irish man mighty odd. He had a brogue rich and sweet, and to rise in the morn he carried a hod. You see the sort of a tippler's way, for the love of the liquor he was torn. And to help him on his way each day, the drop of the crater in the morn. Whack full of dano, thence to your partner on the floor, you'd rather shake. Wasn't it the truth? I told you lots of fun at Finnegan's wake. His friends assembled at the wake, and Mrs. Finnegan called for lunch. Lunch! First they brought him tea and cake, then pipe, tobacco, and whiskey punch. Then Biddy O'Connor, she began to cry. Such a lovely corpse did you ever see? Tim of morning, why did you die? Or shut your gob, says Biddy McGee. Whack full of dano, thence to your partner on the floor, you'd shudder shake. Wasn't it the truth? I told you lots of fun at Finnegan's wake. Then Peggy O'Connor took up the job. Or Biddy, says she, you're wrong, I'm sure. When Biddy gave her a belt and a gob and left her sprawling on the floor. And the war did so enrage. It was woman and man to man. Shillelagh law was all the rage, and the row and the ruction soon began. Whack full of dano, dance to your partner round the floor, you'd rather shake. Wasn't it the truth? I told you lots of fun at Figgins' wake. Then Mickey Malone, he raised his head when a bottle of whiskey flew at him. It must have fallen on the bed, the liquor scattered over Tim. Begod, he revives, see how he revives. Tim Finnegan rising from the dead, saying, why is all running round like crazy? Thunder and lightning, do you think I'm dead? Whack full of dado, dance to your partner round the floor, you'd shudder shake. Wasn't it the truth? I told you lots of fun at Finnegan's wake. And whack full of dado, dance to your partner round the floor, you'd shudder shake. Wasn't it the truth? I told you lots of fun at Finnegan's wake. Pa-pa-da-da-dum, ma-do. Oh, ayo.
Hey,
Right, everyone.
Feet are stomping. There's people jumping out of their chair. Give Paddy a round of applause, folks, in the comments. Savage stuff.
Oh, happy
Paddy,
to do
tell
it.
me, you were talking earlier about the PBS show you put together, I Am Ireland. Tell us a little bit more about how that idea came about and where does it stand now? Is there a way to get access to it, for example?
Yeah, first of all, it can, for anyone, you can just Google my name, PBS, and it'll come, you'll be taken to it's on the PBS website. And we did a special pandemic version. We recorded it live at Old St. Pat's Church. And you can access it there. It's actually an hour and a half long. And, you know, how it came about, actually, I was actually came out as a student, a J1er. And, you know, it's funny, I was one of my best friends. I had spent a few years at Maynooth College and then went on to UCC before coming out here. And I thought America was just like, you know, next door. And one of my best friends from Castlelyons in Cork, Jack, said, hey, Pad, we're all out here in New York. I says, I'm on the way to Chicago. I'll drop over to you. But sure, I didn't realize how far away that they were. So I dropped out. I went into a local bar there, and it was like the whole Castle Lions hurling team were actually there, I'd say, And so I made the trek out to Chicago, but I went over to Boston that year, and I saw a guy called Hershey Felder. And Hershey Felder does one-man shows on Beethoven. I had seen him doing Gershwin, and I was like, wow, that'd be wonderful to do something in Ireland, Of course, I wouldn't get away with this in Ireland, doing something like this, But I said, what about that? But I kind of talked about it, hummed and hawed about it. And then when I came out to America, I went back to graduate school here at DePaul University. And for about 14, 15 months, I was thinking about Sean O'Riordan, because, Sean O'Riordan being probably Ireland's national composer. And that's he's such an amazing man. And of course, just as I mentioned, Sean O'Riordan, we'll do something in a minute. God rest Paddy Maloney of the Chieftains, who just passed away, because it was Sean O'Riordan who got Paddy Maloney and all the lads together. And exactly, Nivet Alehe down a reach, those they'll not be around again, those types of men. And of course, Tony McMahon, the great accordion player. So I began just putting it together, Barry, and I began to look at it from the perspective of Michael Collins, who was our great leader. And Michael Collins wrote a great document in 1922 called Pathways to Freedom. So it's almost like when Michael Collins, he began to look back and he said, how did we get to here? What was it all about? And he began to look back at the Irish bard, and he said, well, from the 12th century onwards, our patronage, I'm conscious of your time now, but from our patronage, the chieftains brought the bards around, and over time, as our lands became more dispossessed, he said a new type of bard came about, a bard who wrote songs to inspire, songs of hope, and songs of rebellion. Those three kind of things, and it just kind of sent a spark off in me, and I said, well, wouldn't it be amazing if we brought Wolf Tone, Thomas Davis, and all these lads on and put the songs there, and really, we're only the messengers of these songs. So really, it's like Sean O'Riordan wrote the 1962 documentary, the score to Misha Era. Misha Era in English is I Am Ireland. Now, you know how the guys over will have a bit of laugh. Gee, Paddy Homan thinks he's Ireland, and I am Ireland. Paddy Homan thinks he's Ireland. But of course, it's not that at all. It's more like the songs, each of the songs and the stories represent Ireland in a unique way. And, it's almost like when you put that out to people and you hear people's stories, it's interesting. You have a called Stories and Sips. You hear their heritage. I know how people came out to America and ended up in South Dakota, and we've put this show on around the place. So it's just been amazing. So we are planning on taking around the country. We're going to do a live performance in Old St. Pat's sometime next year, probably April or May, with the full orchestra. And so more to follow.
Amazing.
But yeah.
Well, if we can do anything to support and promote and do anything to tie in or help you out, we'd love to do it. So keep us posted. Absolutely. And somebody mentioned about Paddy Maloney, and if it's okay and if I have time, I just sing a verse of McGillamar, because thanks Andrew Donlan. Of course I didn't know Paddy Maloney, but of course we all knew him in the music, and what a terrific guy. So here's a song that we actually do in the show, and of course Paddy made it very famous with Sting. I won't be a mark on the Sting version, but I'll chance my arm anyway, Good man.
McGillamar. Shall darawis in vaijin hen, sadishim vain trochate way, Machael like to down the trail, the vorn of a look, hissing the again. Shem alech mo yilamar, Shem o he sargile mar, Sun ashen ni voiras he, Och when gel mo yilamar, Bim shabun like boards got low, Hek we got craic, Hek turn and yon, Mar squeale man bochel bio Scenario tower tourisk wig maroon Agus malech gilamar Shemo hes gilamar Sunna shem ni voiras hen Och winning el mogile
Oh, that's haunting. That's
and we
beautiful.
remember, Paddy Maloney and Tony McMahon, two amazing musicians. God rest them.
Sláinte.
Sláinte.
Cheers, Paddy. We'll come back to Paddy in a few minutes. He left us with that haunting tune. Let's reveal our next element of our whiskey club. And Paddy, we'll come back and we'll talk a bit of Fair Hill.
Love it.
Good stuff. Folks, you are signing up in the dozens and dozens. The memberships are coming in. This is amazing. We're building an amazing community. Text here from Brian Nation saying congratulations, guys, on the launch. He's looking forward to talking more with us, which is amazing. We're flying it here, folks. Like there's we're up to, I think now 140 members, or something thereabouts. Geez, we might even get to 200 by the end of the session tonight. It's amazing. And I just want to remind you, if you just joined, or just want to remind our people who are here, or if you just joined, what we're doing here in our very special lock-in is we're launching a whiskey club powered by community. The community of Irish whiskey fans that have grown up around the Stories and Sips brand, the Irish Whiskey Fans of America over the past 2 years have been incredible. Maybe some of the most fun times I've had in my life, some great friendships made. I have deep friendships with people now that I haven't even met yet in person, but I talk on the phone with, I text every day, and it's been an amazing time. We're now going to take that community that we've built and we're going to do interesting things together in the world of Irish whiskey. We're going to buy casks. Somebody said earlier, we're going to now have to buy the castle, but we're going to buy whiskey bottles, single casks, cask programs. We are going to invest in opportunities to do interesting things, fun things, have craic, in the name of togetherness, all centered around Irish whiskey. And that's an amazing thing, folks, that these opportunities are rare, that we get to be part of something like this. It's a personal privilege that I get to participate in this with you all. You're driving this. I'm just happily every now and again directing traffic, but it is an amazing, amazing group that you all have built here. I want to give a shout out again to our amazing committee. They don't get enough thanks. They can't get enough thanks because they do so much, but I do want to recognize them again. They're in the audience there, helping out, answering comments, answering questions. Dave in California, Dave Borquez, an amazing friend who he is the first to volunteer for something, and he's the first to put his hand in his pocket to buy something if you do something. Amazing, and a great supporter of Irish whiskey. Everyone in Ireland knows who Dave is in the world of whiskey because he supports them. And hat tip to you, Dave. You are an integral part of our community, and we wouldn't be the community we are without you. And we're looking forward to seeing you in Ireland. So come over and spend time with us. Steve Smathers in Colorado, our indefatigable admin of our Facebook community, who is a diplomat and a scholar in handling challenges in our group and directing traffic and directing the flow and being a great source of knowledge in Irish whiskey himself and whiskey generally. He is in Colorado Springs. Steve, thank you so much for your help. Brian Redden, who is our group and club attorney, lawyer, and has become a good friend of mine. He's in Cincinnati. Amazing Irish whiskey knowledge himself. We've been lucky enough to do some events with Brian in Cincinnati. He's hosting an event for his law firm all about Irish whiskey himself in November, such as his knowledge in Irish whiskey. So Brian, thank you for your knowledge, your counsel, your friendship over the last few months and indeed years. Stacey in Ohio, thank you so much for all your help. Stacey, I don't know anyone who does more different things. You're always active and you're always doing amazing things to help people, be it in the Shamrock Club in Columbus, helping out different organizations, Ancient Order of Hibernians, you name it. There's the things you're involved in. It just blows my mind. I get tired looking at how many things you do. And you've done the same here with our club and waving the flag and whatever we've needed in Ohio, you've been the first to volunteer your time and your efforts. So thank you for all your help. Kieran Quinn, amazing, has become a great friend of mine. He's in New Jersey, former basketball player for Ireland, professional basketball player, an amazing guy. I've never met Kieran in person, but many of you know him through the group, and some of you have met him. I can't wait to meet him. We've done some great events together, corporate events, and we've drank some amazing whiskeys virtually together. Kieran's been an amazing counsel to me and brings an amazing business head to all of this, that when I thought we were kind of not pushing high enough, he said, keep pushing, keep going higher. You can do more, you can do better, you can build bigger. So fair play, Kieran. Thank you so much for your help. MP, MP has gone so far as today getting a Stories and Sips tattoo on his hip, folks. I kid you not. I'm not even going to put the picture up here. I'll let him share pictures in the group if he wants to. But we were treated to a picture of MP's hip this evening, where he has a Stories and Sips logo, the 2 glasses on his hip. That is his devotion to Irish whiskey and to our group. And for that, we should say, can we ever help? What can we do for him? But I have gifted MP a lifetime of membership to our club to thank him for desecrating his skin in honor of our club. So fair play to you, MP, and you've driven long distances to come to our events, like in Ohio in the past, which is amazing. Absolutely amazing. Shane Moore, Shane and I have become great buddies. Shane's living in Cleveland, Ohio, Dublin, a Dublin lad. We're going to be meeting in Ireland in a few weeks' time to do some great fun whiskey events together. Shane's been a great friend to me and a great help to me. And we've done some really fun things in Cleveland and Columbus together. And Shane has just been a great counsel and a great man for the whiskey buying and collecting and drinking. So Shane, thanks for all your help. And Diarmuid O'Malley, second from last in my list in no order at all. Diarmuid O'Malley, a great support and friend in New Jersey. Diarmuid's the man who texts you just to say, you're doing great, or I hope you're doing well, or I really liked what you did the other day, or I love that post, or I love this whiskey, or thanks for this. Somebody you just want these people in your life, and Diarmuid's one of those great people. So Diarmuid, a hat tip to you and a raising a glass to you. So amazing. Thank you so much for your commitment and support. And Rick Green, videographer extraordinaire, filmmaker, and just an all-around good guy. I've known Rick since before the whiskey days in a previous business. I've known Rick, and Rick has been a great counsel as well, and he was a great sounding board and advisor when I started this idea. Before I told anybody about this whiskey club, I talked to Rick, because this had another idea. There was another concept in mind, and Rick was guiding me through that. And as it evolved, Rick was there in the corner as well with great advice. So listen, Sláinte to all of you. Amazing everything you've done, and thank you for all your support. Now, with that, I'm going to reveal our first quarterly tasting. So how does this work, folks? You've been watching with interest in Ireland as folks get sample packs sent around, small little bottles. You see them winging their way around little events in Ireland. There's lots of events where people get sent these packs with samples. Why does that happen in Ireland so easily and not in America? It's very simple. It's almost impossible to send alcohol legally in America between states. Almost impossible. There are very few ways to do it, and the ways that you can do it tend to be quite difficult and sadly are quite expensive. We think we've figured out the best way, all things considered, to get you 3 samples every 3 months. So every quarter, these are not the samples, I'm just showing you 3 sample bottles. That's a bottle of the story. Look, one of the rare bottles. Woo! Every 3 months, we're going to send you a tasting pack. Now, we're not just going to send it to you. You're going to have to buy it. But we're going to make this as cheap as is humanly possible. How are we going to do that? The whiskey brands are going to come on board and support us, and they're going to donate the whiskey to our club. And all we'll have to pay for is the shipping and the box that it goes in. It's that simple. We are not going to profit off this. We're not going to make any money of it. We're going to work through our our friends in Folsom Wine and Spirits, the retailer, who will keep the costs down to just a handling and packaging charge, which is going to be a couple of bucks. Sadly, the cost of shipping alcohol in America is absolutely ridiculous. If I want to ship this legally with a liquor license from Ohio to Indianapolis, somewhere I could drive in 3 hours, it'll cost me $20 to ship that by FedEx alcohol shipment, which means that the minimum cost for these packs is going to be the cost of shipping plus handling, which means if shipping is $20, you're going to pay $20 plus $3 or whatever. So maybe $23 for a pack of 3 samples to your door. There is no human way on earth to make it cheaper unless you do it illegally. And we're not going to do it illegally. We're not going to stuff these things into packages where they can't be delivered legally. So Those are charges that are just going to be in place, but we're going to bring these samples to you at that cost price. If costs come down from FedEx and from UPS alcohol shipping, then your cost comes down. It's as simple as that. If you can pick these up in person, you don't have to pay the shipping cost. So we can't say fairer than that, right? That's how we can do it. That's the only way we can do this. But it is ridiculous that that's the lowest cost to send alcohol, isn't it? And during COVID, FedEx added a $5 signature fee onto all alcohol shipments, $5 to sign it. So if you receive a package, it's $5 on top of your shipping cost. So it's expensive, but we're going to keep the cost as low as possible. So whichever state allows shipping, we'll get this to you. If your state doesn't allow shipping, maybe have your package delivered to a state that does. Drive there, pick it up, have a friend pick it up for you. You guys are going to have to be creative on that. We're going to be above board and above the book, to the letter of the law, in getting things shipped the proper way. We're also going to clear all of our quarterly shipments through the government, through a 3-tier system, which means that if we work with a small distillery in Ireland, we're going to help them get their labels approved so that the bottles arrive in the United States completely legal, completely above board, having gone through the 3-tier system as cheaply as is humanly possible. I would hope that the larger distilleries can fund some of the shipping costs. The smaller distilleries won't be able to afford it. So we're going to do our best. We'll keep you informed. I think the goal here is to support small distilleries more than support big distilleries. I think you'll agree would be a good use of our resources, which we'll do. Those smaller distilleries probably need our support. All right. Okay. Tyler says he joined the club in the first 10 minutes. He just received his email confirmation. It was probably delivered by a slug or a sloth or something, but at least he got it. All right. So we're going to be fighting, as Zane says. That's awesome. Fight for the little guys. Ladies and gentlemen, this first tasting that we're doing is about 10 months in the making. I had this idea 10 months ago, and it has taken this long to get this first pack to market. Now that we have it here, the rest of them will be a little bit easier. I started having a conversation 10 months ago with my dear friend, God rest her soul, Mary Ferreter from Dingle, who sadly passed away late last year, about the possibility of getting Dingle involved in a sample pack in the United States. She said her first response was, I don't know how, but the answer is yes. And Mary worked until a week before passing away on this with me. And it is with great final pleasure that we can bring this to market to honor Mary and to bring this first quarterly tasting pack to you. So our first quarterly tasting pack in the Stories and Sips Whiskey Club is this, folks. We are going to taste Dingle's Single Malt Batch 4, JJ Corrie's The Gale, and the legendary Dark Silky's Dark Silky. We're working with 3 small brands, 3 family-owned brands, all on the west coast of Ireland for our first pack. These are not large brands. These are small businesses that need support, need help, and all have amazing stories and amazing products. Each of these distilleries has dug into their pockets to give us their whiskies, to send us packs over here to the United States so that we can fulfill this for our club. And the only charge you're going to have is the cost of shipping. I'm really excited that we're getting to bring these 3 to market. Some of you will have tried these whiskies before, some of you won't. But this is a chance for us to taste a peated whiskey, the Dark Silky, to taste a fantastic blend from JJ Corrie. If you're familiar with the story, you know what Louise can do. The Gale is their flagship product. They're around to batch 3 of the Gale. It's an amazing blend. And the Dingle Single Malt Batch 4 is a wonderfully vanilla-oriented single malt that has been matured in sherry casks, bourbon casks, and port casks. And this is a remarkable lineup that we have here. I have the 3 whiskies here. Each of the bottles, I have them here to show you. And I'll try and show you a picture of the pack. It is still being put together. Here is the Gale. And you might notice, Barry, that bottle seems to be remarkably less than full. But of course, I had to do some taste testing. So here's the Gale. It has never been put in this size before, especially for us in America. For the first time in history, Dingle has produced a miniature bottle, and they've produced it just for us. There is Dingle's 50 milliliter single malt batch 4, produced for Stories and Sips exclusively. This is not available anywhere else on earth. And the legendary Dark Silky. Look at this tall, silky miniature bottle. 50 milliliters of pure peated blended whiskey, blend of single malt and single grain that are peated. These 3 whiskies are going to be put in a wonderful Stories and Sips package. we are working on standardizing the shape and size of these bottles so that we can get some efficiencies of shipping and costs. So over the first 2 or 3 quarters, you might see different packages arrive. Things might be bottled different ways. The whiskey will still be the same whiskey. It's just we're trying to work through logistics and packaging. So don't worry about that. We'll get to a standardized kind of package and bottle shape and size once bottles are available to purchase and logistics can open up a little bit for us. Are we excited about these three whiskeys? Sounds like you are. 3 fantastic whiskeys, says Daniel. A great tasting pack to try. Incredible new Irish whiskey producers. Let me pull up a picture. Oh, yes. And so worth noting here, if you already have these 3 whiskeys, you don't need to purchase the pack. You just come to the tasting and then you'll meet Graham Cool, master distiller at Dingle. You meet Louise McGuan, owner of JJ Corrie. You'll meet James Doherty, founder of Sleeve League Distillers. You won't even need to buy the pack. So that's the beauty of the club. Once you're a member, you're not obligated to purchase anything else. You're part of all the events. Your $20 fee gets you into all of our online events or offline events and everything we do. Jeff wants to know, Jeff, who is a great miniature collector, wants to know, would you be able to order multiple sets in one pack? The immediate answer is no. The second answer is we'll try. But here's what I'm already suspecting. I worry that we already don't have enough for everybody in the club for our first tasting. So we're going to have to figure it out. So people may not all get these if they all want them in the first round. But now that we have this many members, we know approximately how many we're going to need going forward, and we'll be able to monitor. The first round was always going to be a kind of a shot in the dark. Honestly, ask our committee how many I projected tonight, and they'll tell you. I said we're going to get to 40 members on a good night tonight. We've tripled that already. We're past 120, 130. I think we're almost at 140 at this stage. But I think, Peter, thank you. A great starting selection. I would agree with that. Here's what we're going to do, Jeff. Let's say we're lucky enough to get 200 samples, 200 sets, but only 150 people in our group want sample sets. Then we have 50 to offer back again. And if you want to buy a second set, then you can. And then we'll do the round system again, 3rd round, 4th round, etc. That's the fairest way, I think. We will have scenarios where if we're working with small distilleries, there isn't a hope that if we get to 1,000 members that they can supply 1,000 samples, especially if they're small, right? So we might have a lottery system. We're going to have to figure that out. I don't have all the answers yet, as you're maybe kind of figuring out as you're seeing some of the links, or where's the login link, where's this link. I don't have all the bits in place yet. But I'm hoping you kind of see the intention is good, right, to get this right. And I had to put a stake in the ground tonight and say, we're launching tonight. I know not everything is perfect yet. It probably never will be. But I'll tell you what, we'll have the crack along the way, and I'll do right by all of you, and I'll do right by the distilleries. This has to work for the distilleries, and it has to work for you guys. So we'll figure that out as we go. I think that's the fairest way. That is the fairest way. What do you need to know about this? Okay, so you need to know when this is happening. So I think I have it up here. Our first tasting event, folks, is happening on November 20. Coming up fast. And I'm going to share with you the big calendar of all of our events in a second. This is taking place on Monday, November 29th. School night, Monday, November 29th, folks. Monday, November 29th at 7 p.m. Eastern, okay? You'll get all this in an email. You'll get all these details, and I'll share the calendar with you. I'm going to put a link into the comments right now that I want you to go to, because it's going to answer a lot of your questions, and it is as simple as storiesandsips.com/club updates. Let me stick it in here so you can all go there. You're going to see dates, you're going to see updates, you're going to see what's happening month by month, okay? What else do we need to know about these samples, about these tri-packs? I think I've answered all your questions. Yeah, I think so. I don't have the box that these come in, but this first box we put together, it's got a picture of Mary Ferreter inside the box. One of my favorite pictures of Mary is me and Mary in the Dingle Distillery. She gave me a Dingle t-shirt, told me to put it on and to host the next tour in the distillery. She insisted I hosted the tour of the next group of people who were booked in for a tour of the distillery. And she put me on the spot, and she was laughing her head off. And I put my arm around her and we took a picture, and it's one of my favorite pictures, and it's on the box, inside the lid of the box. So when you get this box, you'll see this took 9-10 months to put together, and we're going to we have some sets aside for some corporate events that I promise I do for the distilleries, but we've got quite a few for you guys as well. So it's going to be amazing, this first quarterly event. We'll do these every 3 months. The next one will probably be in February, and we have distilleries and brands lined up for the next 3 tastings. I'm not going to reveal them all to you yet. Some quarterly tastings will be 3 different brands. Others will be 1 brand with 3 different expressions. Or perhaps we get 1 whiskey that's a deconstruction, where the components of the whiskey are deconstructed. So here's the sherry component, the bourbon component, the port component. Here's them all blended together. We'll do lots of things like that over the coming months and years. All right. So hopefully that is to your satisfaction. So with that, let us go back to our maestro and bring him in, because he's burning a hole in that Bowron, God love him. There he is.
Oh, there we go.
Now you're in. Good
I
man.
can tell you, whatever about me about singing, but how do you get that knowledge of all that whiskey?
Thirst and nervous energy, Paddy. It has to be directed somewhere.
Now, you went to, is it Middleton School you went to, the Christian Brothers?
I did not go to the Christian Brothers at all.
Where'd you go?
I went to Closhton, the Nuns in Cove.
Oh,
Nuns in Cove.
Yeah.
Up in the hill. Up top of the hill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's where you learned all that great whiskey knowledge and stuff like that. The nuns, huh?
Oh, the nuns with their small little bottles hidden in their vestments and their capes. Yeah.
It's funny. One of the best lock-ins, I suppose, if that's the right way to put it. I was working as a caregiver. I worked in the Mercy Hospital for many years when I was going through college in UCC. Worked as a caregiver, worked Christmas Eve right through to New Year's morning, and I always sang for the nuns, the nuns there, and kind of got me through college. And New Year's Eve, we'd always have an old session, and St. Anthony's Ward, the Mercy Hospital, it's St. Anthony's Ward is very kind of narrow. There's I could put 4 beds in each room, and I was the porter there at the time, and I was on with a group of nurses, and I said, you know what? Let's have a bit of crack, So we wheeled everyone into the same room. We gave everyone a bottle of Heineken and a drop of whiskey,
Oh, lovely.
And you can imagine everyone, and they were with their families as well. And, some of them were towards the end of their lives. And my God, I got to tell you, I've been to some sessions in my life, but that was one of the best sessions I ever had, To hear people singing Ave Maria and singing the banks of my own lovely Lee, and whenever you might be out here and you're yourself getting on with your way, and you might be feeling, what's it all about? You think back to those days of those types of lock-ins and those types of songs and the people you met along the way, and you say, you know what? There's more to life, and we're all just kind of, Níl sa tílach shall, life is only an old spell, But just go back, you mentioned about the Boys of Fair Hill. Yeah, that's my parish.
Yes.
And
I know. You remember telling me that last time.
Great song. It was actually written by a guy called Sean O'Callaghan. And he wrote a lot of songs, actually. And this one, it actually goes back to the history of when Fairhill hurling team got into the county final before the War of Independence. They were playing the Bars at the time. Then the War of Independence broke out. They never got to play the final because of the War of Independence. And later, after the treaty was signed, they decided to have the game. But what happened is that most of the lads on the Fairhill team were either on the run over here in America or, of course, had lost their lives. Of course, the Bars won, but Sean O'Callaghan, through his great penmanship, immortalized the Fairhill team through the Boys of Fairhill.
Yes.
And many verses have been added on over the years. So we'll see what we come up with. Maybe we might invent our own one here tonight. So come on, boys, and you'll see lads and lasses full of glee. Famous for all, they will make your hearts thrill. The boys, they won't harm you, and all the girls will charm you. Here's up the mall, says the boys of Fairhill. Come on, boys, and spend the day with our Harrier Club so gay. The cry of the hounds, it would make your hearts thrill. When you hear Connie Doyle say the armoured car has won the day, yes, here's up the mall, says the boys of Fairhill. Come on down to Quinnan's pub, that is where you'll join our club. Round us in gallons the porter does flow. First we tap a half tierce, drink a health to Dashwood's race. That's the stuff to give them, says the boys of Fairhill. Come on, boys, and spend a day with our hurling club so gay. The clash of the ash, it would make your hearts thrill. Christy Ring, he hooked the ball, and we hook Christy ball and all. Here's up the mall, says the boys of Fairhill. Blackpool girls are very rude, they go swimming in the nude. Here's up the mall, says the boys of Fairhill. Then they are no good at all, up against the sunbeam wall. Here's up the mall, says the boys of Fairhill. And come on, boys, and spend the day in Barry Chandler Sips and Stories today. We've tasted the finest whiskey that you ever will see. Don't forget to join the club. Stories and sips from that famous club. And here's up the mall, says the boys of Fairhill. Fi-da-la-diddly-dum-bum-bam, ba-da-da-la-diddly-dum-ba, ha-lum-ba-la-la-lum-ba-la-la-ba-la, ha-lum-ba-la-dim-bum-ba, skiddy-ma-di-da-diddly-dum-bum-ba. Here's up the mall, says the boys of Fairhill. Let's sing it out now. You have the third glass of whiskey. You're able to do it. Do it again. Says the boys of Fairhill. I love it. What stuff.
I love that song. And there's a couple of things there's a couple of places where I've come across that song and it has just made me smile. One is there's a fantastic video on YouTube of Sean O'Shea and Jimmy Crowley.
Oh yeah.
And I think it is during the jazz festival in Cork, or maybe they just break out into this, and it's amazing. And there's another one where there's an old documentary about the Echo Boys in Cork.
Oh, I saw the one. Yeah, I know the one you're on about.
And there's little kids there that start at 5-6 years old with their little corner selling the Echo. And the Boys of Fairhill is the kind of the background tune to this documentary, and it's just lovely. A lovely look at Cork back in the day.
Well, Jimmy Crowley really is the quintessential Boys of Fairhill guy that made that so famous, now. Echo! Whenever you go back to Cork, you're looking around like, where's the Echo Boy? It's like,
I know. It seems to get earlier every day too. Like soon they'll be selling the Echo at 10 in the morning soon.
Yeah.
Paddy, would you have another tune in you if we came back to you in a few minutes? We don't want to keep you too long.
Not at all. I'm in no hurry at all. Happy to be here and be part of this. And again, congratulations to you, really, Barry, and all the committee on doing such a great job. It's so excellently put together. I know you've explained everything, and I get what you feel about the FedEx thing. Even when I've been, sending CDs and stuff like that, it kind of cripples you. But people expect that, there are certain costs if you want quality. So, that's just the way it is. So kudos to you for 100%. Excellently managing that.
Speaking about CDs and music and yourself, Paddy, if people want to check you out, they can go to your website. If they want to follow your links and learn more about your music and maybe get access to some of your music. PaddyHoman.com, is it?
I've been called worse.
Because you will be called worse yet tonight.
Yeah.
Go visit Paddy's website there and give him some love. Give his social media a follow and give his CDs or his music an old download or a purchase there as well while you're sipping on your whiskey. No better time when you're 16 whiskeys in to be
That's
spending
right.
money in the right places,
That's
like
right.
on Paddy
That's
and
right.
this whiskey club. All right, Paddy, I'm going to come back to you. I got another reveal.
Perfect.
We're going to keep it lit. Good man. We see you in a minute. Thanks, Paddy Homan. We'll come back to Paddy. All right, folks. Still 80, 90 V sticking in here, which is amazing. We're almost 2 hours in. Next up, we're going to reveal our first Meet the Maker event. So let's recap where we are so far. We started off tonight by talking about what this club is all about. This is a club built on community, for community, by community, democratic. Not just the illusion of democracy. We are going to be democratic. You're going to be able to talk about what you want, share your interests, share your thoughts, and we'll try and pursue them and try and follow through on suggestions that you all have and ideas that you have. We'll take them all in. There's going to be 5 elements to our club to begin with. We're going to grow it. We're going to evolve it over time. We have no idea when we came to launch tonight how many people would be interested. I think I did a quick tally there. I think it's 120 something members, maybe close to 130 members we have so far. Amazing. 4 times more than I even expected tonight. I had a goal of 200 members by January. It's now October 16th. Something tells me we're going to get there. Maybe by the end of October, which is amazing because you know what happens when we have this size of a group? It gives us purchasing power. It gives us weight, and it gives us a bit of sway to maybe get the attention of brands who are looking for the right audience and who want to get their products in front of the right people. You are the right people, and we're now organizing and convening around a group, a club. Whiskey brands seek out clubs when they go to different cities. When Irish whiskey ambassadors fly to LA, they look for the whiskey clubs. When they fly to Chicago, they look for the whiskey clubs. Why? Because that's where people hang out who like whiskey, who spend money on whiskey, and are potential customers. You all are potential customers and are discerning whiskey customers. That makes us a great destination for brands coming to the US. And since I announced this last week, I talked about this club. I teased this out across social media. I've had brands already reach out to me asking me, how can we get involved? We have a list as long as 2 hands of brands that are now signed up with us to do things with us over the next 6 months to 10 months, which is amazing. So community club, that's what we're building here. And the bigger the club, the more chance we have of getting access to incredible things, opportunities, whiskies, etc. First thing we talked about tonight was our first ever club bottling. And our first bottling is with 2 stacks, and that is a single grain, a double distilled, coolly distilled, 13-year-old single cask, 300 bottles approximately, finished in California Madeira casks that are French oak that used to contain Sauvignon Blanc. That's our first ever bottling. I don't know about you, but I've been blown away by what 2 stacks have released into the market. They have instantly become cult heroes and a cult whiskey brand because of the way they approach their whiskey blending and their whiskey sourcing. I'm excited that we get to work with them. The second thing we announced tonight was our first cask program, and that is unbelievably, we're getting to collaborate with Brian Nation, former master distiller at the Middleton Distillery, now master distiller at O'Shaughnessy Distilling in Minneapolis, Minnesota. We're going to get a private cask of Keeper's Heart whiskey laid down for us and a journey with that cask as well. So that's an amazing opportunity for us all. Again, these are only for club members. Nobody outside of the club will ever be able to get access to these. It's you're paying for this club. You're funding this club. You're the only ones that are going to get access to these things. Nobody else can get access to them. If we don't sell out in our first round first round of a whiskey release or a cask, we'll go back for a second round to you all until things are sold out, or we put things for sale on our website to our club members only. The third thing we announced tonight was our first quarterly tasting, and that is with Dingle, JJ Corrie, and Sleeve League Distillers. Really excited about this. It's taking place on November 29th, and we're going to have a tasting with the owners of these brands and the distillers of these brands who are going to lead us personally through a private tasting. These are not going to be publicly hosted. These are not going to be on Facebook. They're going to be private Zooms. If you can't make them, they'll be recorded and they'll be available on our website for you to go back and look at anytime you want. If you can't get to the event but you want the tasting pack, buy it, come back a week later. You can follow through follow the tasting after the fact. Those are the 3 things we have announced so far. Right. Let me see. Let me look at your comments. All right. The committee is in there handling all of the stragglers and the hecklers, and you're doing a great job. And the good slagging taking place in there. The next thing, the 4th part of our club, is our Meet the Maker event. On our lock-in over the past 2 years, we've had great success, and we've been very privileged to be joined by incredible personalities from the world of Irish whiskey. Oftentimes, when there's 500, 600 people all asking questions, you can't get all your questions answered, and it's tough to maybe get everything, all the information you want from that distiller, that blender, etc. We're going to meet a different maker every month. And when I say maker, I mean somebody who's involved in the making of the whiskey, not a marketer, but typically a maker. Now, there may be exceptions when we have somebody who's involved in, let's say, like, for example, I have in my mind a really interesting Meet the Maker event would be somebody who makes all of the distribution happen from the distillery to the shelves in America, to explain to us all the logistics from the Middleton distillery all the way to a shelf, for example. That could be a different type of maker. But mostly it'll be distillers, blenders, bottlers, like those who are working to make different aspects of the industry. So it'll be a private Zoom. It'll be a private link for members only, not publicly hosted. It'll be recorded. If you can't make it on the night, it'll be archived in our website. Your members link will give you access to it. Your members log in. You go back in, watch it anytime you want. It'll be in there forever. They'll be approximately an hour in length. They won't be as long as the lock-in. And they'll be really great way to get intimately up close to the makers. Our first maker event takes place in just 11 days' time. And it is with the very popular and very outspoken Mr. Brendan Carty, founder and distiller at the Cologne Distillery, Ireland's smallest distillery. He is our first Meet the Maker event just before he heads to America on his first American tour with the lads from Two Stacks. Brendan's going to join us live from the Cologne Distillery for a chat about his views on Irish whiskey, on the technical file, on old styles of whiskey making. And it'll be a chance for you to ask questions, open your microphones, and we'll figure out a process to do that in a way that isn't manic altogether. Manic at all. So are you excited about chatting with Brendan? I think you should be. Ireland's smallest distillery, and Brendan is an unbelievable knowledge on pot still whiskey, on peated whiskey, on direct flame fired pots. An amazing setup that he's got going there. So that is our first Meet the Maker event. Our first Meet the Maker event that is taking place on Wednesday, the 27th. Wednesday, 27th of October, 11 days time, our first event. That's going to be our first event. All right. So before we go back to Paddy, let me share with you a couple of more things I want to put on the screen. This is all on the link I put in the comments. It's also the link that you get taken to once you log in. So to log in, just follow the link on your email. It's storiesandsipscom/login. When you log in, the first page you'll get taken to lists everything that's coming up. But I'm going to put them up on the screen so that you can't ever accuse me of not supplying you with information. Here's what October looks like for us, folks. We've just done the first event. We've launched the Whiskey Club. The next thing you're going to see over the next 10 days is the opening of the Still House. So that's our 5th element of the Whiskey Club. What will that be? That's going to be a members only area. It's going to be where you find all the archived events we do, all the recordings. It's where you're going to find videos that we're going to make every month. We're going to make a new video, small video documentary, 10, 15-minute documentaries every month. We're going to make, we have writers and whiskey experts writing articles for us on whiskey knowledge, how to taste whiskey, what the whiskey styles are, what's peated whiskey, etc. How does oak contribute to whiskey? All of these things, we're going to archive them in the Still House. It's going to be like an online magazine for you. It's going to grow. It's not going to have a set schedule. There may be 3 articles one week. There may be 4 articles the next. There may be 1 the following week. But it's always going to grow based on our ability to find the right experts, get the right content, and you get to tell me what you want to see. If you've got a question about a certain aspect of whiskey, tell us. We'll get an article written about it, or we'll interview somebody for 10 minutes who's an expert, and we'll put that into the Still House. That's what's going to happen next. The next thing is we're going to ship you your glassware. Every single one of you tonight who signed up to be a member is getting a Sherry Copita tasting glass, a Whiskey Club tasting glass. Those will be shipped out at the end of October because I think we'll hit 200 members by the end of October. So once we hit 200, they're all going to be shipped out. Our first Meet the Maker event, October 27th at 7 p.m. Again, this is all listed on storiesandsips.com/club-updates. That's also what page you get redirected to when you log in. It's the first page you see when you log in. So that's October, right? That's the first month. Now, I'm not going to overload you every single month. We're going to have one main event every month and then other supporting events. There'll always be a Meet the Maker event. That'll be an hour every month. But there won't be a bottle launch every month. There won't be a cask launch every month. But let me tell you what November looks like. November, our first quarterly tasting event, November 29th at 7 p.m. We will put the call out early in November for you to purchase the tasting packs. There'll only be so many of them available. We have to figure out how many that is. We have 130 members right now. I don't think we have 130 tasting packs. So we'll figure this out. We will make this work for as many people as possible. We will have another Meet the Maker event, and we will have our first video added to our still house. So that's November. Quarterly tasting event is our big event in November. And again, there'll be one of these put in for every month into your update page, your members page. Kevin says, all kidding aside, thank you to all involved for this. Truly something I'm excited to be part of. Kevin, the feeling is mutual, buddy. I'm as excited as you are. So thank you for joining and being one of the first to sign up today. December, coming up to Christmas, we will open our purchase window for our first club bottling. So save your Christmas pennies. This will be your Christmas gift to yourself. We will take orders. Do I know how much the whiskey is? I don't, because there are moving targets with shipping costs right now. For example, I saw a €1,000 additional charge being put on every pallet of whiskey that's going to America from Ireland as a congestion charge at the moment. €1,000 a pallet. So things like that affect the cost. So we're going to figure out what this is. We're going to share it with you, and we'll all make decisions as a club when it should ship. But we'll take payment because we need to pay for this cask and we need to pay 2 stacks. So we'll take payment in December, and we may ship it in December. We may ship it in January. We may ship it in February, but we'll let you know, all right? We'll keep you posted. You're going to be the first to know after me. We will have another Meet the Maker event in December, and we'll have more featured added to the still house. Then in January, so I'm going to take you all the way to January finally, the purchase window will open for our first club program, our first Club Cask Program with Brian Nation's O'Shaughnessy Distilling. Okay, that's January. So hopefully you save some money after Christmas for if you're interested in shares of that cask. We'll also have our Meet the Maker event and more articles added. Does this feel like this will be value to you for $20 a month? If it's not, I want to know. If it is, I also want to know. I want to bring you value. And I also want to support the growth of the club, and I want to buy interesting things for you guys. So hopefully this feels like you're going to get value for your money. But we're going to build this and grow it so that every month is going to be bigger than the month before. So the still house grows and grows and grows, so it becomes this archive of content and knowledge and information that I hope is worth your $20 a month to you. Look, October alone, the Copita glass and its shipping is $30. So we'll lose money in the efforts to build this club, but I think it's a worthwhile investment. Nina says, heck yeah, the lone voice that thinks this is worth the money. Hopefully you all stay in. Hopefully you all stay in and we can keep growing this. I'll try and figure out a referral program that rewards you if you refer friends. That might incentivize you to bring your friends in as well. If that's something of interest to you, let me know, and I'll institute a referral program. I'll build it out, and you could probably bring down the cost of your own membership by referring others. So if that's of interest, let me know. Lovely start, says Brian. Excited to go forward. Great stuff. Great stuff. Johnny says, worth every penny. Awesome. Awesome. I won't take it personally. If it's not worth it, I will just make it better for you. So you just have to be upfront with me. Take my money, says Tammy. Tammy, if we haven't taken it already, we'll take it now. All right. Does the Copita come in pairs? It does not. Just one Copita. One Copita. One Copita glass. One Copita glass. Kelly says it's worth the money for the content and accessibility in his opinion. Awesome. That's all I want to hear. That's all I want to hear, right? It's got to be worth it. It has to be worth it to you guys. All right, let us. I need to take a sip of something, and I need to talk to my buddy here because Paddy knows the crack, and Paddy can fill the airwaves with far more dulcet tones and music than I can. So while I sip, Paddy, like, have you a recommended song for us? Do you think?
You know, I'm just amazed at how you have organized all this so brilliantly. You've thought everything through. And of course, it took a good drop of whiskey to be able to think through so pointedly on this, you know. Just fair play to you. I mean, it's pretty incredible. And, you know, you are really building up a community. I mean, that's the sense I get today, a community, a strong community. And that's the new reality. I suppose COVID has moved things forward so quickly. Would we have thought 2 years ago we'd be doing this? Maybe at some point, but not for like 10, 15 years, you know? And suddenly this is the new reality that we're in. And you know what? We'll get through, you know, and fair play to you. So somebody was asking, would I know the Cliffs of Dooneen? And, you know, I was just thinking about, I want to thank you, Barry, for sending me the cup. I think I was the first guy to get the cup, was I? Because I happened to come upon this here. Is this the cup, Barry? Is it?
That's it, yeah. That's exactly it.
Yeah.
That's not a glass bucket, is it?
How many would you get into that now? I think you could fit in maybe, you know.
You got a bottle, would you? You got a couple of bottles in it.
How does that sound? Okay.
Oh, lovely. Oh, you're going to give us a bit of meditation.
Well, I actually had this underneath. So after about 4 glasses of whiskey now comes out the more meditative stuff, you know. And this is a Tibetan bowl, actually, you know. I had it under my desk. I totally forgot it was even under my desk, you know. But then as you mentioned glasses, I said, I think I have a similar glass. So maybe I'll take it out. We'll see what happens, you know. Of all the money that e'er I had, I spent it in good company, and all the harm I've ever done, alas, it was to none but me. And all that I've done for want of way to memory now I can't recall. So fill to me the parting glass. Good night and joy be to you all. If I had money enough to spend, and leisure time to sit a while, there is a fair maid in this town who would surely have me heart beguile. Oh, rosy cheeks and ruby lips, I own she has my heart enthralled. So fill to me the parting glass. Good night and joy be to you all. So fill to me the parting glass, and bring a health whate'er befall. Then gently rise and softly call, good night and joy be to you all. Of all the comrades that e'er I had, they're sorry for my going away, and all the sweethearts that e'er I had, they'd wish me one more day to stay. But since it fell into my lot that I should rise and you should know, I gently rise and softly call, good night and joy be to you all. So fill to me the parting glass and drink a health whatever befall. Then gently rise and softly call, good night and joy be to you all. Oh, Sinead.
Sinead. Oh, that's a great tune. That's a great tune. That's a Clear the House tune.
So Barry, this will be for the 200.
If we get to 200 members, will you fill that up and drink it?
Oh yeah. Ishkabaha. Yeah.
Oh, listen. Folks, look at all the claps and cheers we got in the audience there for Paddy. Let me flash them up on the screen so he sees all of them. If anyone's got a final request for Paddy before we let him get off about his day and about his life, not to be listening to us nattering on about whiskey here, but if there's a perhaps a last one, maybe let us know if there's something special for you. Paddy Maloney and the Chieftains, that era of music, like you said, we won't see their likes again. We've lost something big in Irish music, haven't we, with the loss of Paddy Maloney?
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, certainly I just, like yourself, knew who didn't know the Chieftains, you know. And, of course, I put it back to, you know, Sean O'Riordan and the whole idea of bringing Irish music onto a concert platform and giving every musician a part to play in it, you know. And, you know, it was phenomenal, really, and how they went about it and the opportunities they gave to other musicians to come up on stage and passing on the tradition to others as well. So, you know, it's sad, but it's wonderful in the sense of look at all the music and joy that they brought to so many people, you know, and, you know, we all have gifts and they're all there to be there for others, you know, and that's the beauty of people like Maloney and again, all those guys in the Chieftains, you know, great crack in it, huh? Imagine being up there, like, and you're belting away, and you just love the music. And, you know, it's like,
life, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really good, you know. And I must say as well, like the level of you know, the camaraderie you meet with the lads, you know. I'm actually heading out to Washington next Wednesday. We're heading out to the Galway Bay Irish Festival in Seattle. We're flying in there and playing for a few days and going to hang out there with people and play some music. And that's, you know, it's almost like, you know, I grew up, I went to the North Mon and you know, love hurling still, but my idea of hurling was maybe on the bus singing for the Harty Cup, you know, singing the Boys of Fairhill on the bus, back again, like, you know, and it's that kind of crack, like, you know, and you can't beat that. And wherever you go around the world, and I'm sure a lot of people looking in there tonight, that's the crack you're looking for, you know, when you see, you know, Paddy Maloney up on stage and the lads are playing away, you know, you think of, you know, Cork in the All-Ireland final and stuff like that. And I suppose you know where all your friends are. Everyone is glued in watching the All-Ireland final, you know. And that's the community that comes together, you know. And that's Ireland, you know. That's our music. That's our heritage. That's our language, our danga, you know. And may we never lose that. Maybe never lose that sense of community. And so I really do applaud what you're doing here, you know, because it's powerful stuff, you know. It's innovative, you know. And I wish you the very, very best.
I appreciate that, Paddy. I only open the bottles here, and I somehow people turn up when we drink whiskey.
But you do it in
like
style. You do it in style.
You've introduced us to some great musicians over the last year or two, and American, British musicians who are living in the United States who have made Irish music their life, and have, like you talk about that culture, that thing, may we never lose it. Others are finding it, and they don't want to lose it either, which is a remarkable thing. Not all cultures can claim that.
Yeah. And I will say the Irish music and the tradition out here, whether in Chicago and around America, are just, you know what, people really love it, you know, and it's a wonderful thing. Who doesn't want to be Irish, for God's sake, you know?
Paddy, there's you know, the Kerry man in Chicago.
I do. I know the lads. Yeah, I do. Yeah.
They're involved in an Irish whiskey distillery in Killarney.
Oh yeah.
And there's a great distillery, Killarney Distilling. Yeah, not far. It's on land owned by the Lieber family, who own Ardnashee there.
Okay.
They're right down by the Hotel Europe, and they're involved. They've shipped over bricks from Chicago to build out a speakeasy in the distillery in Killarney, just on this very start of the Ring of Kerry.
They shipped out bricks.
Bricks. They're building a speakeasy made of Chicago bricks, Al Capone style.
Yeah, you got to check that out, because we've only salt in Chicago. You want to check those bricks, you know. That's not good.
They're hiding something in them. They're filled with something, I'd say. They're smuggling, are they?
Check those bricks, you know.
But next time you're in the Kerry, man, talking to those lads, tell them you heard about the distilling going on in Kerry, and you're very curious about Killarney. Yeah.
A lot of my friends go into that local. We used to all hang out in the Celtic Crossings, not far from the Kerryman. And I know a lot of the lads head down out to the Kerryman. They do a great job, and they support, you know, the footballers there, the Pierces, a lot, and that, like, so fair play to them, you know.
I spent a lot of money in there that weekend that Ireland beat the All Blacks. My Irish breakfasts and my pints and my dinners in there. Yeah.
I just came back that week. Group of us, 3 guys from Monaghan, 3 brothers, and a group of us that week. Actually, so funny. We drove a herd of cattle in Idaho that week, and we the greatest best sing song out, cattle rustling, you know, and
go away.
We brought our own whiskey, and we were up in the hills of Idaho, toasting and drinking away, and we ended up in the All Blacks. That was when we came back for it. Actually, it was great crack. Yeah,
is that right?
Brings back good memories, you know. Yeah,
great time.
Okay, maybe I'll sing a final song. So I just want to
please.
So we want to dedicate this to, of course, Manana Heron. When you think about, you know, Countess Markievicz during 1916 was perhaps the Queen of Ireland, and you know, you look at the great women of Ireland today that do such great work. And maybe we'd like to sing this song. This song actually, in fact, was sung to Markievicz as she was led down O'Connell Street, having been released from Brixton prison as a result of the great pressure from around the world to release the prisoners, particularly from America. And it's called O Ro Shidavahawalya. O Ro Shidavahawalya, O Ro Shidavahawalya, Anish Hachtan Tiaurig. Hurrah, you're very welcome home. Hurrah, you're very welcome home. Hurrah, you're very welcome home, now and at the coming of summer. O Ro Shidavahawalya, O Ro Shidavahawalya, O Ro Shidavahawalya, Anish Hachtan Tiaurig. Shedava van Volin, but the Hogrick to Vegan gave the green hello, the shell of Merlot, stood Dil College no Golin. O Roshedava, O Alia, O Roshedava, O Alia, O Roshedava, O Alia, and Nisher Hawkon Towery. Cogran you velig tiachtar sailja, ogling arm halle margada, goelid fen is the golas panik, is craic she the ruiger galliv, O Roshedava, O Alia, O Roshedava, O Alia, O Roshedava, O Alia, and Nisher Houghton Towery. Have wheelery the rat vecum on a me and yo in a yigak shatten, run your well like a smell like a ashkok, ek fogger father gully. Oh, Roshidava, oh, Walya, oh, Roshidava, oh, Walya, oh, Roshidava, oh, Walya, and Nisher Hoktun Tauri. Agus, oh, Roshidava, oh, Walya, oh, Roshidava, oh, Walya, oh, Roshidava, oh, Walya, and Nisher Hoktun Tauri.
Mahan Farr.
Hey.
Paddy, we could listen to you all night, but you're locked in an office, and at some point you have to leave that office, and we're very conscious that you have a life outside of our lock-in, which you have to get back to.
It's an honor. Let me tell you, it was great crack, I must tell you, great crack. And hello to everyone, and Sláinte Gafol, agus Goody and Tom Mella, I kind let's say Reece, I'll be talking to you again, I'm sure. And yeah, whatever we can do here in Chicago to get the word out as well, we have the Galway Arms Sunday session. I've shared it in our Facebook grouping as well, and we hope people will sign up there and be part of it as well. So, good evening, Tom Ella, Sláinte.
Good evening, Tom Ella, Paddy, Gurv Mahagav, Sláinte Gafol.
And as we say, Barry, may the frost might never afflict your spuds, that your she-goat will always be free from worms, that your she-goat will always dread the puck. And should you, Barry Chandler, come into possession of a mare donkey, may she be in foal. Amen.
Yes, what a blessing. What a blessing.
Take care.
Come on, Paddy. Thanks a million.
Everyone.
Thanks for hosting us tonight. Thank you so much. Entertaining us all night. Good man, Paddy. So thrilled that we got Paddy back with us after kicking off our musical sessions on the lock-in 2 years ago. Lads, listen, ladies, let's take this up a notch. We're not going anywhere. It's time to open something else, right? I've knocked my way through the rarest vintage reserve. I need to find something else to open and to sip on and to taste. Right, what's next? All right, it's a night of celebration. We're going to open something good here. All right, so I've got a Redbreast all sherry cask. This is a 19-year-old Redbreast, an exclusive bottling for the Middleton and Bow Street distilleries. This came out last year or 2 years ago, I think. Redbreast single cask. This is really interesting because it was selected by the staff of the gift shop, who felt like this was their favorite of all the casks they tasted. So we're going to open this to celebrate. All sherry single cask of Redbreast, 19-year-old single cask. This is going to be opened and enjoyed. And we're going to pour it into a lovely Stories and Sips glass. I don't have any of the copitas yet. All right, what's in your glass? Let me know. We are up to, I think, about 140. I looked, there's a lot of between lines or duplicate lines or people trying again, or I think we have about 140 members, which is absolutely incredible. And of course, membership stays open. It's going to remain open until we can't perhaps fulfill it anymore. So there may come a point where we just have to pause membership, but we will keep going until we know we can do our very best at fulfilling. So moving on to Redbreast all sherry single cask. Let me know, now's a chance to talk about the club. What questions do you have? What suggestions do you have? What have I not answered for you? What did I miss? What are you most excited about? Jeff Adams has a good question. Will founding members have the first crack at club bottlings and cask shares? I will defer that question to our committee. Does the committee think that is how it should work? Or should somebody who comes in 6 months' time get access to a cask program ahead of the founding members? Please, committee members, weigh in. It'll go to a vote. It's a good question, Jeff. All right, I've poured a day. Look at the color on that. Look at that. It's like a fur coat. Brian wants to know, are we thinking about any in-person club events? Absolutely we are. In fact, I think there's an annual club meetup. To be honest, I think there's an annual club meetup in the works, or in my head somewhere, where we get distilleries and brands to come together, and we have a little bit of our own little mini festival as a club. There's a market for us, or there's a market for it, and there's an opportunity for us to do it. So definitely in-person events. We'll definitely do it. And I think there's a chance for us to do more in Ireland together as the world opens up. I'm here right now. I'm meeting a lot of different people in the Irish whiskey space at the moment about our club. I'm also meeting people in the travel space about our club. So trips were always an integral part of the plan I had for Stories and Sips. It was supposed to be Stories, Sips, and Trips. Trips had to be put on the back burner. But I think there's an opportunity for us to do everything from small 5-person exclusive high-end trips to Ireland to 20-30 person trips to Ireland, where we have just a session everywhere we go. Love to do that. I mean, listening to Paddy there, can you imagine that for hours every night, 5 nights a week in a pub, different pubs around Ireland, buses taking you from one place to the next, sleeping in the bus, getting to the next place, having the crack. I mean, visiting distilleries, behind the scenes tours. That's all in my mind. Like, we're only getting started here. Like, believe me, whatever you can think, I'm there. Like, I'm thinking about it. I'm dreaming about it. I put out some pretty crazy questions to distilleries last week, suggesting or asking, could we do this kind of a thing? I've not heard back from many of them yet, but we'll be pushing. Like, we'll find wacky, wild things that nobody else can do, especially if we've got a big club with purchasing power. We are now who a distillery, a brand really wanted to, they want to get into bed with, because we're the people, we're the men and the women. Sláinte. Oh, that's very good. I've heard people say they don't like that, and that's an amazing redbreast. 19 years of age. Slide it up here. Interview. That's very good. I love a heavily sherried whiskey. I absolutely love it. Fortified wine for me makes the most incredible texture, and that layers of just thick, treacly sweetness is just my style of whiskey. I'm glad I opened that now. Look at that color. Yeah. Stacey saying it's unreal. Unreal. Let me see. Tony says, I'm trying to find a way from Dublin to Cork. Well, there's one big road. Once you get on it, that'll probably get you there. To be a bit more, give us more information there, Tony. We'll help you out. Dave says we're already having a club meeting in December in Cleveland. Yeah, so our Festival of Middleton Whiskies is proceeding at speed. We have sold out night number 1. We're almost sold out of night number 2. We're opening a 46-year-old Middleton Very Rare Silent Distillery, the oldest and most expensive bottle of Irish whiskey ever released in Ireland, one of only 70 bottles globally. We're opening it and we're drinking it. And some of you here in the comments are going to be drinking it. You're mad, you're crazy, and I love you for it, because you're not waiting around until you retire to reap the fruits of your hard work. You are saying, you know what, life's for a living. Let's go do this thing. Let's hang out with people we love, doing things we love, drinking whiskey we love. And I couldn't be prouder of you. And I can't wait to be there with you all in December, December 6th and 7th. Is it 5th and 6th? 6th and 7th. 6th and 7th. In Cleveland, Rocky River, Ohio, just outside Cleveland. It's going to be amazing. So I know some of you are joining us, and I can't wait for it. Night 1 is going to be amazing. Night 2 is going to be amazing. Those of you who are coming to both nights, God bless you and save you. You're gluttons for the whiskey punishment. Daniel says this was a great whiskey, but price was big. Yeah, you know what? I think it was, what was it, 320 euros or something like that for this, which is a massive amount of money for a 19-year-old whiskey, no doubt about it. I think I bought it at the time saying it was for a special occasion. No better night than tonight. 140 members in the bag for our club, our community that's building. That's amazing. That's a good opportunity to open this. Paid for out of my funds, don't worry, not club funds. But 140 members, things are great, absolutely amazing. Just what a night for us so far. And I think we'll get to the 200 members by the end of October, I'd say. Brian says, big question. Is this one or the Sonny Malloy's bottle? That's a great question. Do I even have the Sonny Malloy's here? I think my Sonny Malloy's is in Ohio. Sonny Malloy's in Ohio. What I have here is the Palace Bar one. I'd have to do a side-by-side tasting. Wouldn't that be an awful night? Lining these up together. This is just this is a great whiskey. A stunning whiskey. Oh, absolutely stunning. God, this is very good. There's like a mint meets fermenting plums meets dark cooked brown sugar that you start to boil with water to make a dark brown simple syrup on the nose. Oh, you could paint your fence with that. Look at the color of it. Lovely, lovely, lovely. If you have become a member of the club recently, give us a note in the comments. I see all my notifications are popping up now here to see more members coming in. Amazing, amazing, amazing. We're past 140 members. We're flying past it, and we'll get to 150 yet tonight. So let's talk a little bit about some of the challenges with the club, because tonight's been amazing, announcing all the great things we're going to do. One of the challenges facing the whiskey industry and many industries right now is the logistics challenges of global shipping and packaging and availability of products and labor. It is a tipping point for many industries, and it's creating delays and previously just delays that have never been experienced before. This is something I worry about with the Whiskey Club, is that we're going to run into some of these delays. The best I can do is communicate with you all through regular. I'm going to go live on Stories and Sips as often as I possibly can to just give you an update. I'm also going to share through the Irish Whiskey Fans of America a 30-second video, 2-minute video. I'll put them on my Instagram as well, Instagram stories on Stories and Sips and Irish Whiskey Barry on Instagram. So that what I want to do is, as we're building out these packs, so for example, as I'm sourcing bottles or as I'm working with Irish malts, I want to document all that for you so that you know what's going on. But it's also going to help you understand why there might be certain delays. So hopefully you'll just come along for the journey with me. You know, we'll get things done as fast as is humanly possible. Like, this is now my mission, to build this community and introduce amazing whiskies to you. I see myself as having kind of two audiences here. One is the small whiskey brands in Ireland that desperately need the exposure and the support from America. They're going to be helped by me on one side, and the other side is I want to help you get access to them, right? So we have to figure out how to get the two to meet, and that's historically been the challenge. It's why there is no such thing as an Irish Whiskey Club in America up to now. There are some societies and organizations and associations, but there's no such thing as an Irish Whiskey Club in America until we started one, because of the challenges of logistics. And I want to give a big shout out to Larry Masuka, who has helped me immeasurably in getting our products to market. Larry is the fulfillment partner for our corporate events. When we have 100 people need whiskey sent to them, Larry does it. Larry organizes it through Folsom Wine and Spirits. I also want to give a shout out to people to Clonakilty and Padraig Call down there in Florida, who's helped me immeasurably sending out packs of Clonakilty whiskey as well to people around the country for corporate events. But there's a logistics kind of side to things that are just really difficult because of the differences in the states, in what each state will and won't allow, and the costs of getting things across, and the issues with timeliness and deadlines. That's been really difficult to do. I think we're going to build not just the first Irish Whiskey Club, but one of the biggest clubs for whiskey in America, because it's going to be based on community. And it's a universal need we all have. And because we're going to want to come together, we're going to want to bring others into it. So we'll figure out a way to get you to bring your friends in, refer your friends, get some kind of discount yourselves, referral program as well. But if we can build this big community, what's going to happen is we get to go back to Ireland. I might get to knock on the door of Tipperary Distillery and say, Tipperary, we know you're trying to crack the American market. We have ways to help you get in front of the people who are going to buy your product. Because you're the folks who are going to do that. You're going to taste something and you're going to say, do you know what? That's an amazing whiskey. I love that. Where can I buy it? And you're going to spend $60 in a bottle of whiskey, and Tipperary, you're going to sell a bottle of whiskey that they could never have sold otherwise. Or you're going to taste a whiskey from a distillery and say, you know what? I actually didn't like it, and here's why. And I'm going to be able to supply that information to the distillery, who are then going to be able to refine, improve, iterate, evolve, etc. This is a win-win situation, I think, for all of us, where we get to build this symbiotic partnership, relationship, where there's no parasitic element to it, right? No one's preying on another party. This is completely symbiotic. There's no massive profits being drawn out of this. It's being invested back into this club. Whiskey brands get access to the market they want, and you get access to the whiskey brands you want. I have whiskies all around me on shelves that I could pull out here and talk about that may never have been heard of before, or expressions that are just, they're alien to many in the United States, because these brands have not been able to crack the American market, because it's such an expensive proposition to try and get out to the American market. It's so big, like it's so, you know yourselves, like the American road trip. You invented the road trip in America, driving for 20 hours to go stay in a cabin for one night. America's so big, and that's so hard for Irish brands. So we're now going to try and bridge that gap and make that a little bit easier. Ecklandville, for example, amazing things coming out of Dunville's, like amazing whiskies, those kind of brands that we're going to be able to bring to you, hopefully, and do really unusual things. Had a conversation today with a small distillery. Our committee knows all about it, doing really contrarian things in Ireland. They have 10 casks that will be made available globally to whiskey clubs, and they will sell no more private casks. And we're having a conversation about getting one of those casks. Things like that, where it's helpful to all of us. We get to try new things, taste new things, and they get to get in front of people like yourselves who have honest feedback and have maybe, this is your hobby. You spend money on this. You spend money on Irish whiskey. So let's bring everyone together virtually right now, and then in person when possible. Okay, some of you putting up random numbers that are on invoices that you're getting. Somebody said number 282, number 286. Folks, we don't have 286 members. I don't know where those numbers are coming from. They're not sequential, I can tell you that. I think right now we have about 145 members. Let me see. Let me do a refresh here. I think we've got 145, maybe 146, 147 members, 150 maybe. Yeah, coming in. Dave says, it's been a fantastic night. So excited to see all your efforts. Herself is hungry. Look at Dave adopting all the Irish words. Herself. Go feed herself. Tell Evelyn we said hi. Much love to you, Dave and Evelyn. And thanks for all your help, Dave. Thanks for all your help. No, Steve, I'm certainly not seeing club members anywhere close to 300. We're not even at halfway to that yet. So what can be happening is sometimes we see people signing up. And when I say sometimes, I mean tonight. And if a payment doesn't go through for whatever reason, when they do it again, it creates another line. If that payment doesn't go through, it creates another number. And then if you have 10 attempts for whatever reason, now it doesn't mean we have 10 new members. It means you've got 10 new numbers. So the numbers aren't reflective of how many members we have, and they never will be for that reason. For that reason. So what else do I have to tell you? Oh, yes. The website. It's not fully finished, is it? I mean, you've recognized yourself. Hey, where do I log in? I can't see the login link. Maybe it's not where you thought it should. Maybe it is where you didn't look, or it's not where it should be, or whatever. I get it. I agree with you. It's not where we need to be. So what happened during the week was I was hoping to have some, maybe 5 or 6 articles already in the still house, ready to go tonight. And we had our website redeveloped about a year ago, and we've never had to add to that website new sections and new areas. And I discovered last week that there were, let's just say, limitations as to what I could do with the website without some development assistance, and I couldn't get into a development queue fast enough to launch tonight. So ideally I would have had the Stillhouse kind of launched and maybe 4 or 5 articles in there that you could read, and you could see how the login worked, and people who weren't members would see a sign that said, sorry, this is for members only, blah, blah, blah. That's in progress. So I'd say within the next 7 days, I'll have that figured out and have that up and running. This is now my focus, folks. Like I'm only going to be working on the club. So we'll figure this out. We'll get this working, and we'll get all these things singing. There's not going to be a whiskey club like this. And I'm going to get this I'm a stickler for the detail, and I want this to work. And the committee is pushing me to get it right. And so we'll get this right. What else do you need to know about the website? I mean, you set a username and a password. Those usernames and passwords are going to be the ones that get you into our private Meet the Maker events. They're going to get you to the links to make your purchase. If you want to purchase a share of a cask, they're going to allow you to log in to be able to purchase, pre-order a bottle of one of our exclusive whiskies. So keep those handy. Your email address will always be able to retrieve if you forgot your username, forgot your password. The website's set up to do that for you, right? There's a fairly powerful, robust membership platform in there. What I've noticed from looking at your comments is that there's been 1 or 2 issues with logins, but then you seem to have fixed them. That is all credit to the system we have in here and the committee helping you, by the way. So I'm really happy with how the launch went. It didn't fail us. And 145, maybe 100, probably 145 of you are already set up, which is amazing. And that's just amazing to see. I see 1 or 2 issues there, 1 or 2 errors, and I'll be in touch with you guys about that. There was something else I wanted to tell you about with the website. What was it? It'll come to me. It'll come to me. Bottle number 1 should be called the committee, says Kevin. That's a good idea. Yeah, so we have to put that out there for people to vote on. Do we call this a name? All right, so let me tell you what's going to happen with that expression, with that whiskey. So the next step is, and again, all of this will be documented for you as the club. You're going to get to see all this stuff. I'm going to go up and visit Cologne Distillery, and I'm going to create some content, some videos, interviews with Brendan, in addition to our Meet the Maker event, tours. I've got a drone. We've got video camera people who are going to help us. We're going to create some really fun stuff. I'm going to go up and visit the cask up in Cologne, and we'll video tasting it, sampling it. And then together with the lads from Cologne and from Two Stacks, we'll decide, is it ready for bottling? Is it not? Does it need to stay in the cask a little bit more? Is it too harsh? What does it need? Do we need to take it out of the single cask, and do we need to recask it into blood tubs? Do we need to, what do we need to do? Do we need to put it into, Great Northern Distillery have a hot room where they can kind of fast track maturation? There's all kinds of things we can do that are interesting that we're going to share with you, and then you can tell us, yeah, that's great, or no, please don't do that with the whiskey, or whatever it is. So you're now going to get a front row seat to the world of the whiskey and the world of Irish whiskey through the club. And we'll follow the path of the cask, this single cask, and when it's ready to be bottled, we'll bottle it. You'll vote on a name, tell us, we'll call this something, right? And then we'll come up with a name. The idea is that we'll have a bottle that kind of looks like this, right? You know, the Two Stacks bottling, it's this shape, a lovely shape, and it'll be larger than this. Obviously, this is just a 350 ml, isn't it? I think it's 350. In any case, we'll have 700 mils, and we might do something cool with the label like this. Either way, there's a kind of an embossed Two Stacks. We might do something like that with the Stories and Sips Whiskey Club logo and our colorings as well. So we'll come up with something clever. Oh yes, I know what I was going to tell you. So there's a society that I've been inspired by, and an association that I've been inspired by that has given me thought for what we could do for the Irish whiskey world. The whiskey world, the Scotch whiskey world and the bourbon whiskey world are far more developed in modern times than the Irish whiskey world. It was different 200 years ago. But today, there are so many more organizations, associations, societies, clubs that have sprung up around Scotch and bourbon than Irish whiskey. Certainly when you think about it on a global scale. In Ireland, there are lots of Irish whiskey clubs. Outside of Ireland, there aren't lots of Irish whiskey clubs. So what I have been looking at is the clubs that do things really well in the bourbon world and the Scotch world. And one that does some things really well, others not so great, but has been a source of inspiration for me is the Scotch Malt Whisky Society. And the Scotch Malt Whisky Society has in-person kind of physical locations. Like there's a couple of club rooms. I think it's New York, London. You can go to Edinburgh maybe. And they have physical locations. So if you're a member, you can go to the Scotch Malt Whisky Society club and you can taste whiskies that they've released over the years. And what they've done uniquely is that they have created their own shape of bottle and their own approach to bottling and to sourcing whiskies. And they don't even name the distillery on their bottle. They just call it a certain code word or code name and number. And the reason for that is that they've decided that they don't want the consumer being influenced by the name of the distillery, but rather they want them to judge the whiskey based on the quality of the liquid that's in the bottle. So instead they put different like wacky descriptions and names on the bottles, but they have a lovely green shaped bottle, a green colored bottle and a certain specific label, and all their releases look the same. That's my goal with the Stories and Sips Whiskey Club, is that we will graduate towards our own bottling, our own shape, our own label style, and our own nomenclature. And in my dreamy mind, I'm thinking that there's an Irish artist that designs a section of each label. We get to, and we will pay the artist. We're not going to look for anything for free. We'll pay the artist to design a label for us, and every artist, every bottle has a new artist showcase, new whiskey showcase, etc. So could you imagine now in 20 years' time or 10 years' time, there could be a Stories and Sips Whiskey Club, an actual club that you can go into in Galway or Dublin or New York, who knows? And on the wall is just a wall covered in Stories and Sips Whiskey Club bottlings. So tonight starts with that in mind. So we launch tonight. We've already exceeded our expectations tonight, thanks to you all. Imagine that now in 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, we can all meet in the Stories and Sips Whiskey Club, because it's a physical club and you're members and you go there, and all the whiskies we've ever released, there's a few bottles of them up there, you get to try them. I don't think it's a crazy idea. And I think if there's a group mad enough to do it, it's this group right here. So I think we can do it. Johnny says, the Irish Whiskey Club room in NYC. He'll retire tomorrow and work the door. Work the door. Chris said, I read the book, The Founder's Tale by Scotch Malt Whisky Society founder Pip Hills. Great story. Do you know what? I haven't read it and I've seen it and I want to read it and I need to read it. Chris, thank you for that reminder. Stretch goals, says Scott. Yeah. Well, listen, our stretch goal tonight was 40 members and look at us. I think we're at 140. Jeff says, I think Dingle did some artist labels. Dingle did. There's a whole story about Dingle's artist labels, and that I think is a video for the Stillhouse, and I'll get that done because that's an amazing story. Chris says, I'm in. Where am I going to find the time for all this? Well, look, I have a very simple suggestion for you. You have to quit your jobs. You have to find some way to fund your existence other than these jobs, because they're getting in the way of your whiskey drinking. I'm not all about that. So I think you need to find a way to get around your job so that you can just enjoy the crack around whiskey every single day. All right? Deal? Okay. For those of you who here's something that bears addressing. This is a whiskey club that we're building here, and there is the danger with a whiskey club that it could become elite, out of reach, out of touch, and out of budget for many people. We can't let that happen, this club. So what we should do, if we're smart and committee, weigh in, and if this is the right direction, hold me to it. There should be something for everyone here. There should be access to exclusive high-end releases that can't be got anywhere else in the world, that only a few in the group can get access to it, but that's fine. We can't all have everything. I can't afford all the cars that I want. I can't even afford one car right now, so I rent. We must have access to the things that suit our price point and our needs, right? So if we have high-end releases that are good for some people, we must also have other price points that match the needs, the budget of others who have an interest in whiskey. Because this can't just be an elite whiskey club. It has to be a community of togetherness and a community of people coming together to have the crack, share stories from different backgrounds, but we all share a love for whiskey. So anticipate things costing everything from $30 to $300. And you don't have to choose everything, but you get to choose what's right for you. But I'm not going to ignore those who have $30 to spend. I could see cask programs being available to us for $30. I can see bottlings for $60. You know, like there's different things that are out there for us. That I think that's got to be important, right? So we have to do that. So if you as our members see us going in the wrong direction, or we're more in one direction than another, just like be like, Barry, come on. We don't all have $300 or a bottle. Or Barry, we want something more interesting than a $30 bottle. Grand. Let's talk about it and let's make it happen, right? I think that covers that. Stories and Sips Irish Whiskey Ice Cream. Greg, you might get invited to join the committee and become the ice cream chair if you keep up with that talk like that. Tammy wants to furnish and decorate that room. Tammy, I mean, talk to us. Is this your, are you a furnisher and decorator? Let's do it. Kevin wants badges. One of the challenges with that we encountered as a committee kind of early on was, right now, the committee is very involved in helping me virtually, but the club management and operations, you're looking at the entire club right here on screen. It's me. And one of the challenges with clubs and membership badges is the rotation and the fluidity of membership. If your membership expires tomorrow and your club entitles you to a discount at the Powers Court Distillery in Ireland, which is something we'll do in the next month or two, we'll start having discounts available for you as members. If your membership expires, but you still have a club card, how do I let the Powers Court Distillery know that you're not any longer a member and you're not entitled to the discount? And it's one of the things we have to figure out. So while a badge may not be the ideal thing, what I think is be more advantageous or even more fun is just a whole bunch of swag, and every now and again you'll get something in the mail from us in the club. It might be a sticker, it might be a pin, I don't know, something along those lines. So we'll have a budget kind of set aside for things like that. I already have an idea for kind of a Christmas gift for all of you, where you just pay the shipping on it, and we'll get you something really good. So things like that. So we'll think about badges, but that was one of the challenges with the badge. Digital badge, says Jeff. Yeah, look, I think all these things we can definitely talk through them. No doubt. But yeah, we are thinking about everything. This has occupied every aspect of my brain, my day. Oh, that's a good idea from Jeff. Also consider smaller bottles to bring down the purchase costs, like we did with the story, right? That helped people get access to our journey for $20, including shipping for a 6-pack, right? Or these are what, $3-4 each? That's a great idea, Jeff. Do you know what? We should start thinking about that with our first ever release. Are there ways to get smaller versions of this into people's hands? Great idea. Great idea. I suppose in an ideal world, with this digital badge thing is, so if we were to think big, imagine we had a database, and in that database, it showed every member who was active, and there was a front-facing side to that database that the distilleries had access to. So if Middleton said, we'll give a free tour, when somebody purchases a tour, we'll give a second tour free to Stories and Sips Whiskey Club members. If when somebody goes to the desk, they say, hey, I'm a Stories and Sips Whiskey Club member, they were able to log on, search your name, and see if you're a member or not. That'd be amazing. So if we can get to a certain number of members, funds will become available to fund development costs like that. Yeah, Steve's on it, like QR code with a link to active membership, things like that. We can definitely, again, size of our club is going to allow us to go to distilleries and say, here's what you have to do, rather than asking them, could they do it? We get to then say, you have to facilitate this because there's 500 people who are going to come knocking on your door, and it's going to be a little bit more fun. Do we have a handshake, says Brian? All right, who's going to come up with a handshake? Brian, are you going to do this? What's our handshake? Kevin says there's a craft beer club in New Jersey. You can connect me to get more info. Thank you for that, Kevin. If you see things working really well in clubs of all kinds, of any kind around the country or the world that you think would work well for us, would you ever just shoot me a note or shoot the committee a note and say, have you thought about this? Or here's what a club is doing really well. Like it was today, one of our committee members, Steve, you sent me that note saying there's a distillery doing a 10 cask club program. Have you seen it? I said, no, I haven't seen it. But 10 minutes later, I was talking to the owner of the distillery. So if there's things you see, just send them my way. And we'll do our best to kind of look into them. But I'm talking to a tour company. When I say a tour company, it's a couple of young guys, enthusiastic guys who have the same idea as us. Do something right. Do something better than average, like high end, but not expensive, but like just 5-star in an affordable way, to do Ireland right, to have experiences that nobody else has ever had. We're talking to those guys in there from Clonakilty, and we're going to try and get something done. I'd love to do a first trip to Ireland early next year, maybe February or March, and we're going to put it out to the club before anybody else. So club members, you're going to get the first dibs at that. So trips are going to be offered to the club. And then if the club doesn't take them up, we'll go a little bit broader. But lads and ladies, if I'm not standing in a pub with ye, listening to a singer and a musician while sipping whiskey, drinking Powers John's Lane with ye in a few months' time, what even are we doing here? We have to do it. We have to do it. All right, let me put out the offer. If there's any club members who wants to join for a toast or to give any feedback on the club, I'll send you a link to join tonight. You can come on, you can talk. If you want to sing a song, if you want to play a guitar, if you want to do something, if you've got something to contribute, I'll send you a link. If you've got nothing to contribute and you're just going to stare at the screen, don't ask to come on. Have you got an old song? Then come on. Amy's going to be there in July. Right, Amy? Well, we might do a second trip in July. We're not just going to do one. We're not messing around here, Amy. We're going to do more. We are not messing around. We're just starting. We're only starting. Kevin can show his sleeping dog. You see, this is the kind of stuff we don't want, Kevin. This is the low bar. Like, we need a higher bar than you showing us a sleeping dog. So Kevin has demonstrated as low as we want to go tonight. We don't want to even go that low. We want to go higher. There's some experiences in Ireland that I was looking into. Like, for example, there's a really kind of exclusive behind the scenes Tullamore Dew, the new Tullamore Dew experience in their new distillery, which I've never been to. And I want to get up there very soon, where it's, I think, a maximum of 8 people can do it. So there's an example of, is there an 8-person amazing tour of Ireland? Is there a 10-person? Is there a 20-person amazing tour of Ireland? And is there one time a year where there's 10 pubs are taken over and you all just find your way there and we're going to have a session, or a session, as we say in Irish, a session. I see some more memberships coming in. Thank you so much. Reminder, here's the link. If you haven't joined, you can't get access to our exclusive whiskies. You can't get access to our club programs. You can't get access to our Meet the Maker events or our quarterly tasting events. You have to be a member to get access to any of those. So if you haven't already signed up, go to that link there. It's $20 a month, folks. You'd spend that on a Redbreast 12-year-old in a bar in New York. And I guarantee I'll give you more value. Where's the Tay Man? Who remembers the Tay Man? What was that for? Oh, yes. It was the Dublin Liberties Distillery took over the lock-in one night. And I suggest to distilleries, if they're going to do a takeover, if they want to do a takeover, I say, look, you got to bring some entertainment, singer, storyteller, comedian, whatever it is. Dublin Liberties Distillery said, we have just the man. He does a great story about the Tay. Well, he came on and joined us from some abandoned house. We don't know where. He had like an old candelabra behind him. I don't even know how he had internet access or electricity, but it looked like candlelight was shining on his face. And he proceeded to regale us with what felt like a 45-minute story about a man who turned a lake into a lake full of tea. And about 40 minutes into the story, where we thought we had all the characters mapped out and we were coming to the close of the story, he introduced a new character, a baby. And everyone was wondering, well, where did the baby come from? Whose baby is that? And it was significant in the evolution of the lock-in because nobody complained that this was just going on too long. It was just one of those moments where we all realized we've done this long enough to know this is a bit of crack that's happening before us. We just got to go with it. And we did. For 45 minutes, we listened to him telling a story that had no real, it had no real conclusion and no real payoff at the end. But we were richer for the experience of the Tay Man. The baby, says Scott. Yeah, do you remember that baby? John says, surely there's a golf plus whiskey trip to be planned. Sure isn't golf just a nice walk in the country spoiled by a game of golf? Golf takes us away from distilleries, away from pubs, away from the crack. I don't know. I'm not a golfer, but I feel like you could do the golf side of things and I'll just do the whiskey side of things and we'll meet in the pub at the end of it. His story met with many a sip. It did. Look, the fact that we're still talking about the Tay Man to this day means that he made an impact. I can still picture him. I couldn't tell you his name, but I can picture him. It was surreal, but brilliant. Oh, yes. Don't forget Martin. Martin was the horse, wasn't it? Was he the man that recalled drinking volumes of whiskey? No. Who is the volumes of whiskey person? I remember that has come up regularly. Volumes of whiskey. What was that? Take out my earpiece here now because I have no one to talk to. It was surreal, but brilliant. All right, so folks, where are we at? Oh, 3 o'clock in the morning, Irish time. I don't know how much I've got left in me here. Just the rest of this whiskey, I'd say. We've had an unbelievable launch, an unbelievable kickoff to our whiskey club. It's not often something like this happens, and that it happens with people that you genuinely want to hang out with. I genuinely want to hang out with all of you, and it seems like you all genuinely want to hang out with each other. And this is the beginning of something great. And so it's up to us to make this amazing. And I'll be kind of calling on you as members to give me feedback and to help me understand what works and what doesn't work. We'll find a way for you to help refer your friends so we can build this and grow this community to be even bigger and allow us to do even greater things. And look, where we take it from here is up to us. And we started great. We started off on the right foot tonight. 140 members. That is nothing to shake a stick at. This is just amazing. Just amazing. Tammy says a brilliant start. A brilliant start. Look, I said 200 by the end of the year. At this rate, we might get to 300. See, now what we get to do is we get to start to explain all this to people tomorrow through other social channels, not just folks who are here tonight, because tonight we only captured those who are available from 7 o'clock Eastern to what is it now, 10 o'clock Eastern. There's all the other folks who aren't available these times who want to sign up as well, which is amazing. So thank you again to our amazing committee. You've knocked it out of the park, giving me support and help getting us to tonight. Thank you to Two Stacks Irish Whiskey, who are going to knock it out of the park for us with a great whiskey, and we're going to get it to America. Thanks to Larry in Folsom for all his help, support, and guidance and counsel. Thanks to Brian Nation and the team at O'Shaughnessy Distilling for the cask that we're going to get there. Thank you to Dingle, the folks at Dingle, the folks at Sleeve League, the folks at JJ Corrie. Thanks to Brendan Carty at Killowen. And thanks to you, the new members of the founding members of the Stories and Sips Whiskey Club. You're all getting a copita, a sherry copita to taste your whiskey. And you're getting my thanks virtually and my virtual Sláinte, hat tip, hug, cheek kiss, European 2 kisses, whatever you like. Thank you so much for kicking this off tonight. What an absolute session we had tonight. And the Irish whiskey industry is watching us, folks. They see what we're doing and they're asking to participate. Let's just keep raising the bar. Let's keep raising the bar. Brian Riley, one of these days we'll have a drink together. I think you're coming to Cleveland. If you are, we'll see you there. Daniel says, can't wait to see what greatness waits. Stacey says, thanks for bringing us all together. Well, look, again, as I always say, I only open the bottles. It's easy after that. Oh, yeah, are we singing, says Anne-Marie. I don't know, Anne-Marie, are you singing? Are you singing, though? Paddy Homan still hanging out there watching. Thank you to Paddy. Paddy says, great job tonight. Great job to Paddy, and we were very privileged and lucky to have Paddy, an incredible talent. Please go search Paddy's PBS special, I Am Ireland. I know that I'm going to actually want to sit down tomorrow with a little glass of whiskey and listen to Paddy with Mrs. Stories and Sips, and we'll listen to I Am Ireland on PBS. Catch up on that tomorrow. Stacey said Cleveland is the Met Gala of Irish whiskies. Yeah, it is. And there's talk of tuxedos and fancy velvet jackets being purchased by people in our committee who are going to attend that tasting our Festival of Middleton Whiskies in in Cleveland in December, which is amazing. Each state should develop a chapter for a club. Now, Nina, that sounds like somebody volunteering to be a state chapter lead. Oh, good man. Ed shared the link in the comments there on Facebook. Well, listen, I think it's time for an owl triangle, a celebratory. Let me take off these glasses. My eyes are strained from these lights and the glasses and the computer screens and staring at screens for 3 hours. Do we get blazers, says Martin. Blazers, turtlenecks, who knows? The sky's the limit, Martin. We might have to come up with a second tier of membership for those who want all the haberdashery, who want the clothing to go with the club. Chapter leads wanted. Come on, Barry, give us a sing out. I have to sing it out because what a session, what a night, what a night. So the old triangle, right? It was the song of our lock-in. It's got to be the song of our club, and maybe we'll find more songs on the way. Different sessions we'll get physically locked into together in clubs and in pubs and bars around Ireland. But until then, the Owl Triangle is the one that we're singing. For those of you who are still asking, a couple of comments there on YouTube. What is this club you speak of? This club I speak of is our whiskey club, and you need to go to storiesandsips.com/club. And you'll find everything you need on it. Oh, that's the wrong one. There we go. And you can sign up and you can become a member. And we will be indebted to you for the rest of our lives if you do. And you'll be joined by 150 of your closest friends. We're going to put a big push in this club over the next week or two. And I think we'll get this over 200 members by the end of the week, or certainly by the end of the month. Anyway, in the meantime, what a session. Thanks, everyone. Amazing. A few verses of the Owl Triangle. So, but let me close the door here now because I'm going to wake Mrs. Stories and Sips. Right, give me 2 seconds there now. Let me close this door and then I'll belt this out. Okay, doors closed. Doors closed in the office. Here we go. Kieran says, you're some man. You're some man. I mean, if somebody else came on and sang a song after me, we can keep this going. There's no singers in the audience. The bar closes when there's nobody left to sing, like the Thin Lizzy version, is it? Of Owl Triangle. What do you think I am? The Steely Dan version. Let me oil the pipes. This feels like a bit of the NPR fundraising drive. You just need 5 more members, sustaining members to keep this going. Every time I put this up on the screen, I see a few more members pop up. So I'm going to leave this up there while we sing out the Owl Triangle. So if you do want to join the club, there's the link. We're going to post it all across our social media channels. Our membership drive has been successful. All right, here we go. A hungry feeling came o'er me stealing and the mice were squealing in my prison cell. And the old triangle went jingle jangle all along the banks of the Royal Canal. To begin the morning, the screw was bawling, "Get up, you bowsy, and clean out your cell." And the old triangle went jingle jangle all along the banks of the Royal Canal. Oh, the lag lay weeping, Humpy Gussie was weeping, as I lay there weeping for my girl Sal. And the old triangle went jingle jangle all along the banks of the Royal Canal. I wish to Jesus they'd raise my wages, from 13 shillings up to £2.10. And that old triangle went jingle jangle all along the banks of the Royal Canal. Up in the female prison there are 75 women. 'Tis among those women I wish I did dwell. Controversial verse. And the old triangle would go jingle bloody jangle all along the banks of the Royal Canal. And that old triangle would go jingle bloody jangle all along the banks of the Royal Canal. And that old triangle went jingle jangle all along the banks of the Royal Canal. All along the banks of the Royal Canal. You up the Whiskey Club. Up yeah. Shinny. Have we more singers? If there's a singer in the audience, you better get up here. Tammy Perry. Is Tammy Perry our singer? Tammy, you gonna come on and sing, are you? Coming into the Royal Canals is Brian Redden, out for the night and coming in at the right time, huh? Dahi, good man, Dahi. Delighted to be on board. Abroad in Spain. Good man. Bless you, Barry, says Brian. I am thirsty after that. Paddy's still in the chat. I'm after ruining the musical talent of the night by belting that out there. But listen, it isn't about how well you can sing. Only can you sing it loud. I've always been accused of that. we can extend the night if someone's willing to come on and sing or play a musical instrument. I mean, I feel like there's some talent in the audience. It may take a little bit of coaxing. If somebody has maybe some sway with another member, or maybe they want to come on themselves, listen, we can do it. We can do it. Otherwise, we're going home to bed. 3:15 in the morning for me. Never stopped me. I think we may be close to the 150 members. Amazing. Amazing. Well, listen, I think that's it. I think we have launched a whiskey club. We can be happy and satisfied with our result tonight. I'm delighted. I'm thrilled. And I'm looking forward to our next event. So stay tuned. You've signed up. You're part of it. You're in. Now that you're in, we'll be communicating with you. You'll get emails. You'll get updates. There'll be more coming. You might not hear a whole lot from me tomorrow, but certainly Sunday, Monday, you're going to get some more information. So that's it. Listen, thank you for signing up. You've trusted the club and me with your money, your hard-earned money. I'm not going to let you down. I'm going to create amazing experiences for you. And I want you thinking you're getting the value of 10 times your investment in this club. And if I'm not doing that for you, you have every right to leave and never darken the doorstep again. But I make it my mission, right? So thank you for your support. And you've invested in me. I'm going to invest in you. So thanks for this, folks. Sinead, I'm going to let you go. I'm going to let you go to bed. Ihawa, good night. Sláinte, hopefully I'll see you soon in person. Maybe you're in Ireland. Maybe I'll join you for a drink. Maybe in Ohio in December. Maybe in California. In any case, Sláinte, good night to the Whiskey Club, the founding members right here. Legends, all of you. Sláinte, everybody. Sláinte.